which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Abba Noah, Shabbat Shemaya, Kodash Haya Shemcha Ahaya, Malakwavka Taba'a, Ratazawanka Haya Aisha, Ba'arataza Kawa, Haya Bashemaya, the thunder Noah, Lakham Kau Yawam, Wasalak Noah, Kawat Waf Noah, Hasalak Noah, Kawat Waf Yanawa Wala'a, Abayak Noah, Anasaya one above, Awashai Noah, Man Rai Kayalaka, Hamalakwa Waha Allah, Bahathapa Araf, La Iwalamyam, Aman. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. 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 Amen.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rikar Shiar, along with Elder Lawyer for your Sabbath lesson, our weekly Sabbath lesson. Shabbat Shalom. All praises be to the Most High. It's glad to be back after they went into our past videos. How we can make it through the storm, how Israel can make it through the storm, with us breaking down the true plan against the children of Israel in the earth. They striked that particular video and said that it was against YouTube's policy to teach what we're teaching prophetically according to the Bible. So no longer in particular on this particular page will you see us using the code words that will trigger their algorithms that will cause more censorship. Okay? We're not going to use their words because obviously you're not allowed to teach the truth according to God or even give an opinion anymore against mainstream propaganda. Here is to why we have now set up, that's right, a new Patreon page with over 1,000 videos from our site, A Gathering 144, since the beginning of our ministry here online, that cannot be viewed on YouTube, even though they were made at a time before Google purchased YouTube and it was allowed for the people to view liberally. Over 1,000 videos that we now cannot play here on YouTube will now be on Patreon. The censored videos will be on Patreon beginning Monday. So keep your ear to the wall on that. We're going to definitely be segueing some of the more controversial or, straight, hard, impactful information that's not allowed here. We're going to segue that to other platforms that will allow freedom of speech. Okay? But right now we are allowed to teach the Bible, so we'll do so. All right. Also, I want to mention that for those who are interested in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, you need to get in. Okay? There's a lot of information and news we're going to go into starting tomorrow, including certain plans they have against our sisters, attacking the womb of our sisters all over the earth. Right now, what's going on right here with this propaganda and this rollout they're doing is a cloud of distraction, refocusing people away from what they're really doing under the cloud of this campaign. And they are targeting, they have been doing it for a long time, but they're going to ramp it up. It's happening in parts of Israel, and it's happening in Ethiopia, and they're going to move that plan here in the United States. And that's right, targeting the womb of our sisters. All right, so I can't talk about it here because of this platform won't allow me to. But in tomorrow in the academy, I have the news articles and all that to be able to give you the information they're not saying. Right now, the news is only targeting one or two specific points that we can see in the news right now. It's this campaign all day, every day, 24 hours a day. That's all it is. Okay? But a lot of other things are going on that they're not telling the people. So we have news outside of this inundation of fear that they're doing on purpose, which we know is no different than Jacob's trouble, what they did against us in 70 AD. Using lies and propaganda to do what? To incentivize and deputize the population against one segment of people, God's people. And I'm going to be going into that today. Either you're going to hear about that type of stuff where they talking about medicine and all this other crap. And please, we got the numbers and all that. They're going to keep you there to funnel you into the mark of the beast system. Either they're going to use that news or you're going to hear, that's right, cherry-picked news that would lead to racial divide. Either you're going to hear about the campaign that they rolling out and want everyone to be a part of, which has nothing to do with our God or our Bible, so we're out of all that. Our choice is the Most High, so we don't even listen to that crap. Okay? We don't listen to the scare and the hysteria and the talking heads because we know what's behind that. Okay? We know what's behind it. Either they're going to have that news or news for the simple. The news for the simple is let's just put out Negro triggering news.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Negro triggering. Oh, the cop. Oh, the cop. Oh, you know what? Let's do an OJ Nicole type deal and put it out there. Let's have the courts look at it. Let's do this horse and pony court show every day. And there's not a proof that he engaged the guy well before that and all. Negro triggering news. I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it. I'm not going for, not to say that these things doesn't happen. The police was set up from the beginning to do what they're doing. A simple replacement for the KKK. Deputized citizens to keep the children of Israel in order. So I'm not going to be dealing with the triggering and all that. The Negro triggering news. That's all you're going to hear is jab or that stuff. Or some injustice due to cops imposing black men. Don't tell me that you care about black men when now the media, the only spokespeople for black people right now in the United States are black women. So don't tell me you care about black men when a white cop come against, or a white person. You don't care about black men, because if that's the case, you would put their women behind them and let the black man speak. So you want to use us for propaganda as if you care when it comes to a black man being destroyed by a cop. Because why? It fits the narrative, black against white. But you don't want to deal with all the injustices that's going on with the black man being dragged into court, family court and otherwise. Taking care of other people's children and all that, even when the DNA says it's not theirs. Okay? So don't tell me you care about a black man whether he lives or dies when a black man suffers daily under your system. And you're minimizing what's really going on by giving us these hacky stories about how you care about white cops coming against black people and black men. It's all a lie. If you cared about black men, you would tell black men everywhere that they're the children of Israel. If you cared about black families, you would start with what? The black man. The black man would be the voice of the community. But you're cherry picking. Okay, you're cherry picking. That's right. Convenient bootlicks in the system or outright people with mental issues and all that, and putting them before the media as our representation. So, not going for it anymore. You have something to say on it? You good on?
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, and I think you made the point, you alluded to the point earlier. It's triggering, and it never benefits us in the end. It's always triggering for us to get riled up and eventually get usurped by somebody else's agenda.
Yeah. So these are the two stories out there now. Either wear a mask and the boogeyman Cole is going to get you. Either that in the news, or either a white cop just frisk a black guy. You notice, and folks, even through these whole campaigns since the Black Lives Matters and all this other crap been out there, our message has been consistent. It has been consistent, and through that consistency, using the Bible as our foundation, folks, many people have been saved through this hysteria by not reacting to what? The media's propaganda. Okay? So let me put that out there. So again, they raise the bar. You know what? We find a way over it. They censor. Guess what? It's okay. We're going to say what we can hear. And we'll go someplace else. Because people don't come to YouTube for mainstream media anyway. Eventually, the real YouTube is dead anyway. So I'm going to say what we can say and just talk enough to segue us to a place that's safe to speak freely concerning truth. That's what we'll do. Okay? Now, real quick, for those who want to be in the academy tomorrow, sometimes there's an issue when so many people traffic the website all at once. Sometimes it crashed the site. So if you have a problem with going to historytimes.org, if it's not working at the time that you actually enroll because you really don't want to miss tomorrow, you can go to that particular website right there that I put inside the chat. royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. Okay. See that? royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. There you can get the music and other, the music products we have there. Even the prayer we did in the studio that you hear Elder Lawyer, he actually did with us, eloquently did for me. You can download that for your listening, and with the rain behind it, it's very good to go to sleep with. I mean, sometimes you put that thing on loop and it'll take you to sleep if you have problems sleeping. So you can actually go to royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. Okay. royaltymusicbyshepherd.com if you have an issue with historytimes.org. And there's a link there where you can actually go directly, okay, to the enrollment for the academy. So it's there. You can get the music there, and you can also enroll in the academy there. royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. Okay. Now, someone asked about the Patreon link. Don't worry about it. We're working on that as we speak. The debates we had overseas from Peace FM with the rabbis and them admitting some of the things they do in private and all that cannot be shown here on YouTube. Over 1,000 videos. All my old debates that they don't want you to see. They conveniently won't let people see all the hundreds of debates that we put out there where the truth is smashing Esau. They won't allow it on this channel. Smashing the debates with Christians and all that. They won't allow it here on this channel. Over 1,000 videos. The woman who came on had said that the fracking system isn't natural gas. It's them actually setting up a pipeline to actually give people through the water system cold-like symptoms. The admission of that. Now, I don't know. She said she had the paperwork and all that in the schematics of the whole of the United States, and she had to go over to South America to escape them coming after her. That video cannot be placed on YouTube. They say it's against YouTube policies. Now, I don't know. I was just bringing in guests. And brother Azariah found this woman who was in South America, a white Jewish woman, giving the truth of the schematics of why they were fracking in the United States. I didn't have the information. I just let someone speak freely. And she dropped what was really going on, that the whole United States will have like cold or flu-like symptoms because of what's going on with the water and all that. And I'm like, whoa, that's deep. This was in 2012. They won't allow that video to actually be played here on YouTube. So I'm going to actually do what? Feature that video. I'm going to start off Patreon with all the controversial videos where the other races of people, even Jewish people and white people, are telling the truth. So you can't claim it's some black cultish conspiracy. On Patreon, you'll have that link next week. And guess what? When we do our regular Wednesday broadcasts, when I have controversial information, I'll start it off with the first 30 to 40 minutes here on YouTube and segue us to a place where we can speak freely with the information, the articles, the videos, without me being censored. If they raise the wall, we climb over it. They raise the bar, guess what? We jump over it. But the people need the truth. Our people, God's people, need truth in this day. Right? Another thing, before I go into the lesson. What is our lesson today? How we, and I'm speaking of black people, I'm speaking of the indigenous people of America before the white man came, before the Hamites came, the East Indians came over here, before the Chinese came over here to try to circumvent them being the force multipliers of the Tower of Babylon religion was forced here on our people to circumvent and to destroy us here in the Americas. And I'm speaking of not these people individually, because a lot of them don't even know how they're being utilized. It's at the hierarchy of these races of people that have conspired against the children of God. How we, the black people, the indigenous people of America, of the world really, how did we lose Jerusalem is your lesson today. Is your lesson, how do we lose Jerusalem? See, I can talk about us without even speaking about any other races of people as far as who they are and what they believe, because any race can believe anything they want. The only people who can't freely believe what they want to believe is us. We're the only people that are ostracized for staking claim to our true identity as the children of Israel. Something is wrong with that. So don't you go for any deflections going forward. I'm going to highlight some of the deflections out there, just like Esau had this media propaganda going on in the media to deflect you from the news of them actually attacking our people all over the earth. I'm going to highlight through bullet points, before I go into this lesson, a few of their, you got it, a few of their projections, or what they would do to actually move us off the point by deflecting. What are their greatest deflectors that we have today trying to oppose the awakening? Number one, never argue when someone claims that the 12 tribes chart is false. You don't have to argue with that. They're going to try to tell you Alba Bivens and Aria and go into all that. Don't even deal with it. Because why? When you claim that the 12 tribes charts are false, you are implying that you know where the children of Israel are. Unless you can, without question, show us who the 12 tribes of Israel is in the earth, you cannot say for sure that the 12 tribe chart aren't the people of the children of Israel. Because you got to say, well, listen, I found the 12 tribes. They're this, and this. And this is how I know the North American Indians aren't the 12 tribes, or the blacks in America or in Africa aren't the 12 tribes. How I know the Haitians and the Dominicans aren't the 12 tribes, because I found them myself. So if anybody come to you with a 12 chart argument, understand that's an ad hominem to get you off the fact, to get you off the conversation of, if we are the children of Israel, what does that mean? We need to move this conversation beyond the surface. What does that mean for us? And what does that mean for you? So the 12, when someone come with a 12 tribes chart argument, dismiss them. You respond back with, this has nothing to do with people. I believe that I'm one of those 12 tribes, whether that chart exists or not. Now, can you tell me who the 12 tribes are? And if they can't, X, you out the box. Argument done. Okay? That's the first deflection. Okay? And if anyone come from another religion trying to dissuade us from understanding who we are and our lot, you turn it back on them. Nah, don't ask me what I believe, because in this country or in the world right now, I have a sovereign right of freedom of religion. And I'm turning it back on you. What do you believe? Why are you so concerned with whether or not I know I'm an Israelite, when you had no problem with me being a Christian or a Muslim? So you turn it back on them every time. There's no need for us to defend our right to be Israelites according to prophecy, because they will not give us an honest argument and just open up the prophecies and the history books and let the information out freely. These are ad hominem attacks and what deflections. So when they say there are Christians, I'm gonna be like, listen, don't you have enough work to do trying to straighten out your Christians than worrying about Israelites? Then they'd be like, well, hold up then. Well, you saying something about Christians, you know? Yeah, we say something about Christians because why? Our people have been deceived by them. That's why. We have the right to say that we have no business following Sunday, Easter, paganism, Christmas. We have that right because you are targeting our people with it. But you don't have no right to come to us about what we're dealing with, because you have too much to clean up in your own house. So don't come in here looking to fix our house. What the Most High have given us this truth so that we can begin to fix this stuff ourselves. This have nothing to do with a belief system. It have nothing to do with anything. No, y'all are trying to intrude because you understand, for once, since all of this began, our people aren't listening to the lies anymore. So if a Muslim Muslims, they're not even in the box. They don't even, they dare to intrude or walk up with an Israelite. And I'm going to tell you, especially, let me tell you, even black Christians know that they cannot contend with Israelites. It's to a point where they just moved black Christians out of the way already, altogether, and they went and got White Daddy, the apologetics, to show you who was directing the black community's theology the whole time. Not once did the apologetics come in the community and deal with the buffoonery that was going on in the Christian church till this day. No sooner as they move themselves from behind the veil, they come directly after the Israelites with all the lies and the evil, the molestation, and the letter people movement that's destroying our churches. Not once do you see them actually addressing the evil in black churches. But they came behind the veil. Why? Because the black church are losing the people to the truth. So that, now, folks, this academy is going to be ridiculous, because I'm not going to have to do much explanations. See, I don't have to argue the 12 tribes chart or whether or not I'm a Hebrew or an Israelite. In 1825, there was a historian by the name of Ethan Smith. 1825, during the time when we were picking peas and cotton, you got this white guy walking around in the earth, not only in the Americas, bringing his studies of the Hebrew he found over here in what? The Indian grave sites that go directly back to the time of Assyria, when the Indians were taken out of the land. Ethan Smith knew that the blacks were Israelites. So don't try to claim as if this is some new theology came out newly found by some black people who just didn't have no identity, so they chose Jewish people's identity. This is a white man. And all through the book is a white man in the 1800s admitting the truth. That he noted the indigenous people here in America are the true tribes of Israel. Yeah, 1825. Before YouTube. Before TV. Before radio. I have read the whole book. I read the whole book. Ronald Sanders, Lost Tribes in the Promised Land. I got that book and the book is falling apart. How when the Esau, the conquistadors, the Spaniards came over here, guess what, folks? It was in the book that they met the 10 tribes that were here already. And they met the Indians speaking ancient Hebrew, the same Hebrew Elder Loya teaches in the academy. Before television, before YouTube, before the internet. See? If, like I said, if I pull this back right now, you'll see nothing but books. Nothing but books. History that was before the mainstream propaganda. So I don't have to prove the 12 tribes chart and all that crap. The question is, if y'all knew about all this, like what I have in my hand right now, why didn't you tell our people? If our people knew we were the children of Israel, instead of us just being Christians, pagan Christians, we'd have understood our accountability to one another according to the laws contained in the book. We would understand the consequences of not keeping our families together, the consequences of not being thieves, robbers, whores, perverts. We would have understood not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to bear false witness. Our communities would be clean. We wouldn't be dying and sick right now if you told us the truth. So don't try to come with some ad hominem attacks as if you care about black people now. Ethan Smith, 1825. It so happened I had this book, one of the original books, over 10 years ago, and I lost the book. But I have a reprint right here. All the books I just gave away or lost, the Most High allow it where I can get them back again. They don't want to open up the history books and bring out the facts. They're looking to be a stumbling block to our people who have lost their way, who have no way, knowing that if our people don't come back to Israel and follow this book, they're going to fall to this propaganda and campaigns. And the apologetics and all these other demons out here don't care about our people because they know if our people don't get this truth, they're lost. If they don't find the truth concerning our God and the commandments, they're going to die by the hands of the Roman Empire. Here we go now. Here we go. How did we lose Jerusalem? First and foremost, our God said, our God, the God of Israel, He promised us that in this time of darkness, He would finally awaken us to the truth. He would finally give us this truth to connect all the dots to understand why our people have suffered so. Listen to me clearly. Too many times when we go back and talk about what's going on with our people, it's negative. It's negative. Right? We're going to talk some positivity today. Now, it's going to be some heinous stuff as we go through it, but at the end of it, we're going to give you the positive angle to this. The fact that we can stand as the children of Israel is a spiritual phenomenon. It's a spiritual phenomenon. The Arabs would never tell you this. I don't care how many Qur'ans they present. The Roman Catholic Church and Christian churches will never tell you this. Doesn't matter how peaceful they seem on the surface. God would have to do what? Break through to give us the truth in order for us to connect the dots for our children. So our children do not suffer our generational curses. Jeremiah, elder lawyer. Stick with me now. How did we lose Jerusalem?
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse number 1.
Come on.
The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I've spoken unto thee in a book.
Write them in a book. See, this is how we're going to connect the dots for you. Write these words in a book. The book is the Bible. No more, brothers and sisters, will we debate the wicked concerning our validity when it comes to this book. We don't have to debate on that. We can debate on other things, but there's no debate on whether or not I'm a Hebrew, because they won't talk about that. If I say, listen, let's go into the books, in the history books in the Bible, and let's put up Jewish people, Chinese people, and any other race of people with the curses in this book, and put black and let's all together, black, Chinese, Jewish, white man, and look at the curses and number. And through process of elimination, let's come out to who closely out of all of us fit the curses written of in the Bible. They won't allow that. Because it will be a closed case. So they'll try to go around and nibble around the edges to cause more confusion in our community while their community thrives above us. First of all, we need to stop listening to the enemy altogether. See? Our God told Jeremiah, I need you to write what I'm telling you in a book for your people. Because these other races of people, they have an entirely different plan for you. They haven't, because why? It's obvious. Why? This is why. Hold that, elder lawyer. I'm going to show you why the Gentiles who are non-Israelites, it's not in their interest to tell you that you are Israel. Hold that and get Romans, elder lawyer. Romans 11 and 1. This is why it's not in their interest. Romans 11 and 1, elder lawyer. Even though this is not on the program, I'm going to still deal with it, right? Romans 11 and 1 and Romans 11 and 11. Read it.
Yes, sir. Romans 11, verse 1. I say then, have God cast away his people?
So because this is what they're teaching in the Christian church, that God cast away his people, his chosen from the Old Testament, and through Christ got Gentiles to replace us. So Paul is asking the question, have God cast away his regular people, his original people who are Israelites through bloodline? This has nothing to do with a belief or religion. This is through blood. Paul was an Israelite according to what? His fathers. He didn't believe. Okay, this is a bloodline prophecy concerning a people. So even during Paul's time, there was rumors out there that we were done away with, that God no longer loves us the same, and that he loved all people equally. That rumor was out there during the time of Paul, right after Christ's death. 14 years after this, people are trying, well, hold up. Is God's people his people anymore? Have the Gentiles replaced us? Paul set that record straight. Let's read it.
I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid.
God forbid. He didn't cast away the Israelites only to replace them with Gentiles. That would contradict our God. Our God is a God of law, and these Gentiles are lawless. They're heathens. They eat what they want. They worship any day they want. They don't have no rules. So how can God do away with us, our forefathers, in our genealogy, to only replace us by people who actually are doing in the earth worse than us, worse than what we did against them? So that's that ridiculous doctrine in the Christian church that God has done away with his people because he's bad and he accepts other people liberally. That's a lie. Listen to what Paul says. Read.
God forbid.
God forbid.
For I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
He's breaking it down just like us. Just like us. He says he ain't done away with his people. Just because Christ came doesn't mean that he got a new race of people and they're spiritual Israelites in the earth now. What the Hades is a spiritual Israelite? The same way they can't be a spiritual Moabite or a spiritual Edomite. It's utterly ridiculous. Trying to claim someone else's race spiritually. He says, no, I'm also am a what?
For I am also an Israelite.
I'm a what?
For I am also an Israelite.
Proving to you that even the disciples understood that being an Israelite isn't a religion. It's not something you just pick up. Okay? It's a bloodline. Paul was an actual man and he wasn't a white man. He was a black man. Okay? Beyond any, he was Middle Eastern. No, he wasn't Ishmael. A matter of fact, Paul is speaking against the children of Ishmael in the book of Romans. Also written to the Hebrews and the book of Galatia. He's speaking against the Arabs. So you can't say, oh, he looked like Middle Eastern. He's Ishmael. No, he isn't. He was a black man. See? Read.
For I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
So Paul is asking a question. Have our people stumbled that they should fall? That means what? Will we be down or be under the foot of the Gentiles forever? Are we destined to stay as the low people on the earth is what Paul is asking. Read.
God forbid.
No. God forbid means no. Read.
But rather through their fall,
through our fall,
salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
The Gentiles got an opportunity because we fell. It had nothing to do with the love of God. It had nothing to do with anything they did personally. It was our fall that gave them access to power. See? So this is why it's not in the Gentiles' interest to tell us the truth concerning ourselves, concerning the poor people. Why? Because we'll find out all of the riches and power that actually empowers them above us was actually given to them by us. See? And we have, okay, so that means that we can work our way around you to receive our glory and power. You think the other nations want to see that? You working your way around them? No. Why don't you take this Buddha statue? No. Why don't you come to my Christian church on a Sunday? Worship pagan gods. They don't want you getting around them. See? This is why there's a unified attack by unbelievers, apologetics, and other Christians. They're not believers, folks. They're Satanists. Outright. That's why there's an attack against Israelites. And they are aligning themselves with what? The unlearned and the evildoers within our communities. What Paul is saying here, come on.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid.
No.
But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
So what is salvation? Is that equality for all mankind? like the Christian churches are teaching? Let's see what the salvation for the Gentiles was or is.
Yes, sir.
Read.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
To do what?
For to provoke them to jealousy.
So the Most High gave the Gentiles their power so that we can look at it and say, you know what? Why can't we have that? Why is it that other nations seem like they're favored above us? He did that to provoke us to jealousy. It wasn't that we would stay down forever. We started following the ways of the Gentiles, and he said, you know what? You want to follow them pagan, them child sacrificing heathens? I'll tell you what, I'm going to put them over you. So salvation doesn't mean they'll be saved to be equal in the kingdom. Paul breaks down what that is, because in order for them to be empowered to a degree that the children of Israel become jealous, he would have to bestow upon the Gentiles riches, power. And that's what we would be jealous of. The Gentiles are in their kingdom already. Read it.
Verse 12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
So it became what?
Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
The riches of the world is the Gentile salvation. They're already in their kingdom, folks. This is what's provoking us to jealousy. And guess what? They got it without receiving Christ. They got it through our fall. They're already in their salvation. This is why it's not in their interest, speaking of the theologians who are teaching, the Jesuits who are teaching, who are white people, and Chinese people and Arabs peddling Islam. It's not in their interest to tell you the truth. Because our fall means what? The riches of the Gentiles. As long as we're disobedient, harming each other, selling drugs to each other, disrespecting one another, divisive with one another, the Gentiles rule. So this is why being an Israelite is the greatest threat in the earth today when it comes to belief. Because when we begin to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of God, Gentiles loses power. We're no longer the consumers anymore that they grandize themselves off of. This is why this understanding of us being Israel is a threat. Huh? Now you notice I'm breaking this down without talking about what's going on out there in the earth. And if they take this video down, it'll be just simply because of truth. I didn't say anything to offend any other race of people. I'm talking about us right now. And if they take this down, you'll know it's because this truth resonated. The Gentiles are in their salvation, and they got their salvation without accepting Christ. It's riches and power that once belonged to us is the Gentile salvation. Read it again.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
Come on.
God forbid. But rather through their fall is salvation come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
To provoke us to jealousy. So now our children are growing up without the same opportunity as other people. And you're believing, well, it's just unequal. It's just unfair. I need to go to the white man for equality. Wrong. The white man will never make you equal to him. There's no such thing. The same way when we were in power, they weren't equal to us. That's the wrong mind frame. To go to the white man and say, I need justice. No, we need to go to God for forgiveness. And he'll do justice. The riches and power, because there's only one earth. And the riches and power in the earth will come back to us if we come back to God. It's that simple. It was through our sin the Gentiles gained power and riches. And Paul even brought that out. So it's in the Gentiles' interest to dissuade you from the knowledge of being an Israelite. Because they lose it, they lose all power. What can you debate? Listen, the Bible says, the wicked, what dost thou have done to declare my statutes and to take my word at your mouth? How can I trust you, Edomite apologetic? What the hell have you done for our people? Not a darn thing. And the only reason they're coming out of the woodwork now is because they're losing. It's our people that have propped all these so-called white evangelists up. These white pastors up, like the Oral Roberts and the Patrick Robertsons and all these Jesuit demons. And the only reason they're coming from behind the woodwork now and they're not being honest, is because they're losing their gravy train. The ignorant blacks have been supporting white evangelism since its inception. And you know what? When they find out we're Israelites, no longer do these so-called TBN and Christian channels and these usurpers have authority over God's people. We're setting God's people free and they can't stand it. Huh? Come on, other lawyer. I see you have something. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Hosea chapter 6, verse number 1.
Come on.
Come and let us return unto the Lord. For he have torn, and he will heal us. He have smitten, and he will bind us up.
There you go. Our problem is when we finally see the world for what it is and understand that there is no hope, trying to get justice in this earth, instead of us turning to the Most High for the answer, we automatically find ourselves groveling back to the governments of this world to ask for equality, when this is not why the Most High did this. Mm-hmm. He did this so that we can come back to him. How can you go to the politicians when the politicians are behind the destruction? Look at our communities. I went through North Philadelphia and almost broke down and cried. The block I was raised on, 15th and Diamond. I almost broke down and cried coming through our communities. And here it is, our people voted predominantly Democrat, not to say that the Republicans are any better. But I'm looking at our neighborhoods who've always trusted in our politicians. And I said, this was their plan against us. Trash strove all over the place, only to lower the worth of any building there so that they can come in and regenify the whole neighborhood, only to get our people on drugs and all type of high blood pressure medicines and other stuff to kill us all so that they can replace us in our neighborhoods. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, y'all can't see that this is what we voted for? All the equality, celebrating. We celebrating in Philadelphia. Black mayors. The first black mayor, Wilson Good. Oh yeah, John Street. And all these other black mayors. And we went through a time and all throughout the United States, there were black representation who were really what? You got it. Cardboard cutouts for the synagogue of Satan controlling behind the veil. I need y'all to look at all the politicians who are mayors of cities now and check out their religious persuasion, and you'll understand the plan the whole time. This is a strategic plan to kill off our people, and no one is saying anything. I went through the neighborhoods in North Philly, and I'm looking at some of the people I grew up with. Strong, vibrant men who are broken down because they believe the healthcare system. They believe what the politicians were telling them. And they still believe. That's the weird part about this. Your mama's house been bought right from under you. Signs everywhere, I'll buy your house for cash. They've regentrified and destroyed our communities, and while the Christian churches sat by and allow it to happen. And I almost broke down because I remember a time where we would have block captains on the block. We would paint our houses all the same color. We would have flower pots in front of our stoops. The children could play. The girls would jump and rope. We would go across, and the streets were clean. I'm looking at Duckery. 15th, I went to Duckery School. We used to play basketball right there, 15th and Susquehanna. I remember everything. And I'm like, whoa. And I went back to me, a little child, when I used to jump over this little crack in the ground. And I went to look and see if that crack in the ground was still there. And you know what? It's still there. And I'm like, man. And we're still trying to search for answers to why our people are still suffering. And then you're going to the same politicians, the same churches who are behind our demise. Folks, I'm going to need y'all to resonate today. How did we lose Jerusalem? It's the same way we're losing our communities today. How we've lost our communities today. And we're going to them for equality and think that it's a talking point, or the only time we get rallied up is when a cop kills a black man. You can't see that distraction when all of us are being killed right under our noses. DMX, Hank Aaron, on and on and on. Marvin Hagler. And here it is. It's happening right in front of our faces. Our loved ones are dying right up under our nose. And they use these perfect on cue distractions to get us away from the desolation that was prophesied in the Bible. The same way our communities are being destroyed through gentrification and systematically and socially insurrected. They're coming in and taking everything from us. Is how we lost Jerusalem. So I'm not going to the Christian churches for answers no more. They have sold out. They believe what the news is telling them. They aren't receiving information from God, or they wouldn't open up their churches for this campaign. I'm not dealing with the voting system, and not me personally, because I see what our people have voted for. To get black people in office. I've seen the transformation when we were a people who loved one another, when families were together. And I'm looking at what's going on now, and I can't help but understand that this was a plan against us. So how can I go to the same politicians for the answer? And I'm not going to support any campaign, Black Lives Matter or none of that crap. Because at the end of the day, all of that money goes towards what? It incentivizes the machine against our people and give it to freaks and Satanists. The same people that are behind our demise. Let's go now. Come on, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 12.
Come on.
Romans 11, verse 12. But if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
So the earth got rich because we fell as a people. Read.
And the diminishing of them, the riches of the Gentiles.
And guess what? When people go against Israelites, and the fact that Israelites are saying that we need to keep the law, to get our lives together, to protect our families, to instill morality in them. You know what you're saying when you're saying you are against that? That the way things is in our community is fine. That's what you're saying. To keep it like it is. That's what they're saying. And a lot of people are against Israelites because, not that because they hate Israelites, because they know somewhere deep in themselves, when they're to themselves, they know what Israelites are saying is true. But they can't overcome their vices. So they turn to enemies against Israelites. But they know in their heart what we're saying is true. If you go against Israelites in the Bible and say the Bible is tampered with and we're not the people, what you were saying in a nutshell that it's okay. The destruction of our people is okay, and it should continue. Because if this is not the way that can get us back on code with the God who caused all this, what is? That's what you're saying when you go against Israelites. Because we're not saying go out and fornicate. We're not saying, to steal and kill and to sell drugs to our people. We're saying, we're just teaching our people to come back to the laws of God. What's so wrong with that? And we're saying through Christ, even though we've made mistakes, that he's given us an opportunity to stand at the crucifix with Christ and put our sins there, so that now the guilt of the past don't affect us getting our communities together, to get our lives together. That even the sins we did unto death, that no longer is that held against us if we're willing to repair our people. What's wrong with that message? No, there's something wrong with you if you reject that message. Because you're telling me that what's going on in the community, what I'm witnessing in North Philly and other places, you're telling me that that's perfectly fine. The Christian churches have it. They got it. That they're doing the right thing. You're telling me that the politicians in our community is doing a great job and everything is fine. That's what you're telling us when you go against Israelites in the awakening. Come on, other lawyer.
Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles.
So the Gentiles got rich. A lot of you didn't know this was in the Bible because we fell. So it's not in the Gentiles' interest to give you a religion that will empower you. Being an Israelite is empowering. And that power doesn't come from man. It's from on high. This is why I don't deal with those stupid arguments about 12 tribes charts and all this other crap. That's a ridiculous argument. Don't even go there. Why do you care that we're claiming we're Israel? If you're living in the United States and there's a freedom of religion anyway, why do you care? Why don't you just make sure that your house is clean, Christian? Why don't you make sure your house is clean? Muslim, Buddhist. You know why? Because what we're breaking down today, folks, the powers that be have paid a king ransom throughout generations to keep it from you. This connects us with the Father and breaks the chains off of our minds. Connects us back with our God so that we can get our power back. And it cannot be circumvented because why? The Bible comes with rules. There's no place where you'll see an Israelite where a woman is circumventing authority over a man because there's order. You'll never see a scenario where a Gentile is empowering himself over the Israelites when the Israelites started the church. It's order. See, that's why. So Esau can't find a way to circumvent. So what he'll do is he'll find some straggler somewhere who've been following us online and say, well, listen, I done seen the light and you sitting with the enemy who only using you as the tool you are. And after that, he'll discard you. They just need anyone anywhere who would speak. And guess what? It's like trying to throw a rock in the Atlantic Ocean to make a ripple. I don't care how many simpletons they try to interview. Oh yeah, I was once an Israelite, but now I can see the dark. And they sitting there being used as a simple tool. And guess what? You don't even move the meter. You don't even move the meter. You just go down in history as a tool used by the devil. And then after they discard you, nothing to see here. They're not bringing you into a church. They're not empowering you to actually stand in the word of God. They're not giving you no orchestrated direction. They're only going to use you as a tool to speak against your own brother or sisters. I don't want to be remembered like that. Sitting with the devil, sitting there groveling like a little dog for crumbs from the master's table, for a little attention. The attention your daddy probably didn't give you. And that's what's going on in this earth right now. Weasels being utilized by the devil. Let's finish reading.
Verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
I magnify mine office. And Paul told them, Gentiles, understand, it isn't through your power. It isn't through your power that you have access or power in the earth. What was that here? It's not through your power. It's only because we disobeyed God, Gentiles, that you have power and rulership. But guess what? The more people wake up who's Israelites, the more people come to the knowledge of the truth and stop sinning against our God, the less time you'll have. The less time you'll have. Hold tight. We're going to go right back in there. How do we lost Jerusalem? 1 second. We'll be right back. Part 2. 1 moment. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. That's right. The Hebrew and Bible Academy starts tomorrow. You still have time. I told them to keep the enrollments open up until the time we actually broadcast tomorrow, 9 a.m. Okay? So make sure you get in historytimes.org. historytimes.org. Or if something happens where there's too much traffic generated for that particular site, if you find issues going to historytimes.org, you just go into Royalty Music by Shepherd.com, and that will get you in, okay? We're going into brand new lessons, portals, the connection between heaven and earth. Tomorrow, I'm going to be breaking down the creation of the universe and why they're actually going into and talking about Kong and Godzilla, two creatures that were created in the beginning, okay? Leviathan and the mammoth creature. Two separate creatures, one land creature that lives on 1,000 hills, and he goes through portals in the earth from one side of the earth to the next. That's where they get the idea of Kong from, or King Kong. There was two creatures created in the beginning. I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. And guess what? It's also prophesied that they will surface on the earth at the very end. This is why they're going into that. Portals, the connection between heaven and earth, and tomorrow, the creation of the universe is what I'll be breaking down tomorrow. Okay? All right, Elder Lawyer, let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. It's 1:30. Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Let's go straight to let's go straight to, real quick, Jeremiah 17:5. I'm sorry for the rant. Let me get to the lesson, Let's go.
Jeremiah chapter 17, verse number 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be man that trusteth
No,
in...
Jared, I need you to go to where it says discontinue from the heritage. Yeah.
Verse 4.
Jeremiah 17:4. Read it.
Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue...
Hold up, Elder Lawyer. We got over 3,000 people in here. Okay? It doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button. Just hit the like button, please, so that it can drive more traffic here, please. If you don't mind. It's only an algorithm thing. I could care less whether or not someone like or dislike it, but you have to do that so that we can overcome the shadow ban. Don't forget, when you come into YouTube, brothers and sisters, they're only promoting mainstream media's information and pages. So they got regular YouTube content creators on a shadow ban where we're not referred like everyone else. So the only reason I'm saying hit the like or dislike button is not that I care about it, because I understand in order for us to be drived on the page so that others know we exist out there, y'all have to help us with that. So for those who don't understand why I'm doing it, I'm not doing it. I don't have no need for like buttons. Okay. I could care less whether someone like or dislike what we're teaching. Okay? Because that doesn't change anything. The truth is the truth, whether you dis or dislike it. Right? Hold on one second. The water. See? So just hit it. Yeah, thank you. Get it up. Please. I mean, doesn't cost. Just hit it's right there. Just hit the button like or dislike. Get that up to at least 2,500, 3,000 real quick if we can, so that other people can get what you are about to receive. How we lost Jerusalem. Okay? And we're using the regenerification as a case in point of how we continually lose our homeland, our place. The first regenerification happened here when we lost Jerusalem. And I'm going to show you what they're doing in this campaign right now, strategically targeting our people. Because listen to the narrative they're putting out on the news right now. Well, we just have to get enough people who are affected by this. We have to get the stuff in them, and then, the world can go back as normal. After for months saying that our people are the problem, that we're dealing with the most illnesses, we're dealing with everything, so it must be us. A certain number of our people must get the stuff first before the rest of society go back to normal. See that? Folks, I'm going to tell you, folks, this is the same thing that happened with a different campaign that ended with our people dying in number. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse number 4.
Come on.
And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land that thou knowest not.
I will cause you, Israel. The Bible, God is speaking to Israelites here. I will cause you to do what, Elder Lawyer?
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies.
Thine enemies.
In the land that thou knowest not.
In the land that you know not.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
So it was prophesied that we would serve in a land we knew not. So the Most High was giving Jeremiah and the prophets of the Old Testament an insight to what would happen to what? their children for the disobedience of their fathers. Your children will go into captivity. And guess what? They're not going to know who they are. They're going to discontinue from their heritage. So when someone claim, hold up, y'all can't be Israelites. Y'all don't follow the law. Where's your Hebrew at? And where's your culture at? That would state claim that you're the Israelites. The fact that we don't have an heritage proves we're the people. That's what lost means. The lost tribes of Israel. That's what it means. We lost our heritage, our culture, our code. And without the code, it puts our children at a disadvantage in comparison to other races of children. Because even though they don't have the law, there is a code every race have amongst themselves. And I'm going to repeat this. The first code. There's no other race of people on this earth who has a matriarchy where the women are making decisions over the man. No other race of people. Chinese people. White people. East Indian people. There's no other races of people where there's this battle between who's going to be in charge. And that's how you discontinue from your heritage, by putting the woman in position as the controller of a community. When really it was the fathers doing what? Laying down the legacy to his son. This is how we discontinue from our heritage. It's not downplaying the position and power of a woman, but a woman is incomplete if a man isn't in charge. And we're the only people who are celebrating this foolishness. We will discontinue from our heritage. Our heritage is what? Our heritage starts with the man. And it's getting the women in order under men. Adam, Seth, Enoch, Methuselah, Noah. Noah had a wife. Ham, Shem, and Japheth had wives, and they were all saved. Through what? Through those men who had a connection with the Father. Noah to Abraham, Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob. And guess what? Abraham, man, there's no greater woman on earth as our mother Sarah, who have ever lived on earth. As Sarah, who was in full obedience to her man. And this is why we can't get ahead, because we're one of the few races of people that have to fight our own helpmate first to get ahead. And that's systematic programming that would discontinue us from our heritage. Am I absolving men? No, I'm not absolving men. But men aren't in charge of our communities. Women are. And any man that try to take charge, he's destroyed in our communities. So let me talk about that. But I'm going to be going into that. Can the black family survive another few years like this? And I'm going to be talking about that in the academy. We're done. When you have black nurses out in front, women, our women, becoming the mouthpiece for a system that have destroyed us, we're finished. nurses. And I don't see no white woman doctor or nurses getting in front and telling their families they got to do this. Folks, they got us exactly where they wanted us. Where there's no man to say, listen, you all are out of control. We're going to die if you continue in this position of so-called empowerment. And you're going to kill us in the wake of your emotions. Not understanding this long term, your decisions. You're going to kill our young boys, our young girls, listening to them. Let's go. We will discontinue from our heritage. Read.
That I gave thee.
That I gave thee.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land that thou knowest not.
And I will cause you to serve your enemies in a land which thou know not. Read.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Which shall burn forever. So we went into captivity, lost our heritage. Why? Because we broke the laws of God. Christ came and died so that we can have another opportunity. So that we can have another opportunity at this. But only a few will make it through, because the majority will be what? You got it. They will be influenced by the God of this world. They will be empowered to hold on to this kingdom. Only a few is getting in. But Christ gives us an opportunity to do what? To stake claim to the promises given to our fathers. That's the importance of this Bible, and that's the gospel and the good news that were taught by the disciples. Now, why other nations, even though they're evil and wicked and are heathens, eat anything they want and celebrate anything they want, the Gentile nations, why aren't they punished for breaking God's law? People might ask. This is why. Because they'll just say, I accept Jesus, and they'll be fine in this system. Why aren't they suffering like our children? When they're outright, murdering, doing evil, eating what they want, celebrating. You got Chinese people celebrating the year of the dragon. The dragon is Satan himself, folks. But yet they have power. They've been given power. Why aren't they suffering like us? Psalms 147. Let's read it.
Psalms 147, verse number 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
He showeth his word unto Jacob.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
He only gave the laws to our forefathers.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
So the Gentile nations aren't accountable to the law like we are. Because he didn't give the law to Chinese people. He didn't give the law to Egyptians or Hamitic people. He didn't give the law to Ishmael or Arab people. He did not give the law to Esau or white people. This is why they what? They can break the law and still excel. They can excel, not us. We are accountable. When we sell drugs to our people, when we do evil against our people, when we use witchcraft, when we go get tatted up like we're some type of canvas, the Most High judges our children for that. When we walk in an immoral stance, in an immoral way, claiming that, listen, this is my life and I'm going to do my truth, understand, your truth, whatever that is, if it's against God's law, your children will suffer. So that's some of the most selfish crap in this earth, where people believe that they can do something and it doesn't affect the generations to come. And the reason why the Gentiles, and guess what? Even though the Gentiles don't follow the law, they have codes amongst them. Okay? In which there is some level of moral code that will not be broken, and they will enforce it to the death. That means you're not going to see some Chinese guy in China on the corner peddling crack rock. Okay? They will string him up right there as an example. I lived in the Middle East. You're not going to have an Arab on the corner selling crack rock. They will drag him, and they will, not only will they kill him right there, it'll be on the news. They just show him just swinging. But why do they allow this liberally amongst us? If they wanted this stuff stopped already, folks, they could have stopped it in our communities. They could have. But why? Because they know we are accountable. And the account is not just us dying on the spot. They want generational slaves that only comes with us disobeying the Bible. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. We're here trying to say, listen, let's break the generational curses. Stop listening to the outside noise of people trying to make you believe that our position right now is okay with God. Stop listening to the outside noise because they're telling you it's okay, that there's nothing we can do to fix ourselves. And we're coming with a solution. The solution God gave us from the beginning, only to get pushback from the enemy, the same enemy who's benefiting from our chaos and confusion. Elder Lawyer, read that again.
Psalms 147, verse number 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation.
He have not dealt so with any race of people. That's why when the other nations come over here, Babylonian, Cushites, East Indians, Arabs, Muslims, even the white man from the Vatican, they'll always put the Bible into question. What we should or should not follow in it. Because they know that they're not accountable like we are. It was through our fall, through us sinning against our God, that the Gentiles gained power, riches, and what? Prosperity under their God, Satan. So it's like, that's why they're like, we don't care about the Bible because, hey, we're not accountable to it like you all. So we're here to do what? We're here to dissuade you from actually valuing the book. Assalamu alaikum. We want you to question the book. We don't want you to follow the law, because by you breaking the law, you're handing your children over to us for sacrifice. I can continue to make your daughters bed wenches. I can continue to destroy your men and make them effeminate. I can continue to destroy your children in the CPS system and make them orphans and have them fearful out there by themselves without protection so that we can do as we will with your babies. See? Assalamu alaikum. You want a Quran? And then and then people try to empower themselves by saying, well, it's not about a belief. It's about these stupid so-called spiritual people. It's about the universe and the frequencies and okay, where do you learn this from? With no clear path of fix our people. Guess what? I thought that what we wanted in this Bible and what Christians wanted were the same things. And that's the frustrating part. I thought that Christians wanted to better their communities and that they wanted us to come back to the law, to stop the shooting and killing and families being divorced and separated and all this. I thought Christian church was the go-to place to find morality. So when I hear Christians going against us being Israelites, it's confusing to me. Because it's like, only thing we're talking about is a moral code to fix our people according to God. Why are you against that? See? Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Matthew 13. Christ's prophecies concerning the fall of Jerusalem. Let's go, before we go there, let's go to the Old Testament prophecy. And this lesson is titled, How Did We, the black people, how did we lose Jerusalem? Africa is only an extension. It's only an extension of paradise, of our homeland. It's not the original motherland. Jerusalem is the mother of us all. Let's get that in Galatians first, Elder Lawyer. Galatians 4. Let's get Jerusalem first. How did we lose Jerusalem?
Galatians chapter 4, verse number 26.
Come on.
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
Read.
Which is the mother of us all.
It's the what?
Which is the mother of us all.
What's the mother of us all?
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all.
And that means that Adam was the beginning of civilization. All this crap you're hearing inside these so-called scientific archaeological findings are a lie. Oh, we found the original bones in Africa. Folks, you found Adam? Where is he? Then they try to, we have done the carbon dating on this. I'm talking about 25 billion years we found the man. And guess what? And then 4 years after that, a lot of black so-called, what you would call Egyptologists and all that who've been using the original man, they fell to admit or fell to say that 4 years later, they said they found a new set of bones who were more so Caucasoid to Mongoloid. That's older than the bones found in Africa. You see how when you follow science and what they're putting out there, it still leads to the white man being what? The father of civilization if you follow science. And I hear black people still talking about this black bones were found, meaning that we're the father of civilization, not realizing the white man found some bones probably 3 years, probably 100 years old somewhere. They probably dug it up from around the corner, probably their uncle or something, and say they found some older bones. Folks, do not listen to the science. The science is a convenient deflector. Okay, they didn't find no bones to say, unless you found Adam, get out of here. Jerusalem is above, is free. But the only reason they began to try to give Africa some shine is to get away from blacks saying that they were Israelites. At the same time, another race of people were planning and plotting to get that land, Jerusalem. So they wanted to empower us as a deflection to believe scientifically it was okay to stake claim as Africans without telling our people historically how we ended up in Africa. Africa is not the homeland. There is no original bones from Africa. Africa is the middle passage between Jerusalem and our captivity. That's what Africa is. So when you see people with the red, black, and green and all that, understand, people talking about Africa, the motherland, understand you're dealing with a useful tool. Okay? A useful tool to actually deflect you from understanding that Jerusalem, we are Israelites. We are Israelites. Let's read that again.
Galatians 4, verse number 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all.
Which is the mother of us all. That's where paradise began. That's where Adam was taken from the dust of the ground, a black man. And the Most High, seeing that he shouldn't be a man alone, and took a rib from Adam to make woman. Woman means from man. Okay, that's not a partnership. That's not any equal footing. That means if it wasn't for man, woman wouldn't exist. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because it's God putting things back in order. It's the Most High who used men to teach the truth you're hearing today. Not that women don't hold a serious position in this awakening, but it's behind the man the way it's supposed to be. Right? So Jerusalem is above, is free. And it's the what, Elder Lawyer?
Which is the mother of us all.
Which is the mother of us all. And let me tell you, and the reason why I'm pointing out that because in this black Afrocentric confusion, there's all types of ridiculous ideologies out there. The black woman is God. Listen, man, if you want to get with the woman, I can understand. That's your game. But come on, dude. Come on. And since it's like, yeah, I'm a goddess. Hey, yeah. It's utterly ridiculous. The woman has the power to bring forth a child, but she can only bring forth a child through a man's seed. The woman represents the earth. The earth brings forth the seed planted in it. That seed, speaking of now with the same metaphor for people, biology comes through man. That little thing that wiggles around, thousands of them moving, and it fertilizes the egg. That means man. You hold the baby, but that's that man's seed. So it's still man. That's right. It's man's seed. See? We got to put things in priority because this woman empowerment stuff that's out there, it's very destructive. And it's not good for women long term. It's not good for them because they lose their natural place that makes them happy, that makes them content in this earth. And the only thing that can make a woman truly content is a good man. Not your job, not your degrees, and not your accomplishments, and not your accolades you get in this world. Because many women have that and are miserable. Women were made for men, period. Jerusalem is above, is free, and read.
Which is the mother of us all.
And she is the mother of us all. Speaking of the earth, Jerusalem, not Africa. How did we lose our homeland? The mother, the earth that made the first man, Adam. Let's go into the desolation in the book of Daniel, Elder Lawyer. You have something there?
No, sir.
You about to get something? Okay, that's good. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this out in particular, using some history today, is so that y'all can now have your eyes wide open to this campaign you're seeing right now. And now you can ask the question can be answered for you. How is it that something started over in Wuhan somewhere is now isolated strategically where black people live as the issue and the problem? You're going to find out today that what's going on right now is 70 AD on steroids. This is a strategic racial plan to kill off a particular genotype, who the devil and his minister understand will one day receive the promises of sons, the sons of the Almighty in our true power. So they're looking to depopulate, to take us out before what? The prophecy. Before the prophecy. And if you don't know that you're Israelites, you're an Israelite, you don't understand the narrative. Because what we're about to read is not talking about, is prophesied to happen to Muslims, or to Buddhists, or to atheists. Because Satan don't care what you believe. If you have the bloodline of an Israelite, you're going to be treated like one way or the other, whether you believe you're Israel or not. So it's about time some of our people open up their hearts and say, well, listen, even though I don't agree with everything these guys say, let me just empty myself for a minute and put myself in that place. If I am an Israelite, what does that mean for me? Just to be safe. Even if I don't believe it, if there's a 3% chance that I might be an Israelite, I need to take that 3% and say, well, listen, I'm an Israelite today, and I'm going to just, I'm just going to take on that title to say, okay, if I'm an Israelite, what does that mean for me prophetically? Okay, whether I believe what these guys are saying or not. Because, hold up, the devil know exactly who you are. Okay? And it's not some belief system you picked up in captivity. You have a bloodline that leads back to the curses of Israel. It was prophesied that you will be taken over the waters and your children would serve another nation. So whether you picked up a BA, a master's degree on this side, you are a doctor, whether or not you're an atheist, a Christian, whether or not you're Muslim, it doesn't matter to him, because he understands, the devil, he understands what will happen prophetically if you're still living on the earth with that bloodline. He understands what that means for him. And the Edomites who ruled the world, who are Romans, they understand what that means for them. So they're not going to chance it. They don't care what you believe. They have a plan for you if you have that Israelite blood in you. So let's not take anything personal and say, well, okay, today, for the sake of this, I'm going to open myself up. I know I've been taught something when I grew up that, that I believe is true, that have benefited my life. But today, I'm an Israelite. I'm open. What does that mean for me in the midst of this Colt 45 thing that's out there, with the military and all that's out there? What does that mean for me if I know I'm an Israelite now? What are the plans the Gentiles have against me with me knowing I'm Israel? Or without me not knowing I'm Israel? Because if I'm an Israelite, it doesn't matter anyway. If they plan to destroy Israelites, they're going to take me out anyway. Right? So open your hearts to receive. Right? Come on, Elder Lawyer.
The book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse number 26 through 27. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself.
He shall be cut off, but not for himself. So this is a prophecy given to Daniel that the Lamb without blemish that was prophesied, Christ, would be crucified and die for the sins of our nation. It's whom the earth ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Some people call him Joshua, Yehoshua, but his name isn't Joshua. His name is Yeshua. Yeshua, not Yeshaya with an I sound. Yeshua with an I sound is Isaiah. His name is Yeshua, which is my Savior, our Savior. is his name. Read.
And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself.
Not for himself. That means he died for us. In the law, it was actually in the law, folks, where once a year a lamb without blemish was sacrificed for the atonement of the nation. So Christ's death was an atonement or a sacrifice so that we could one day receive the promise of sons as Israelites in a lost land. After losing our heritage, losing our identity, it was prophesied in Daniel that he would be cut off for us. He would die for us, the children of Israel. Read.
And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary.
The people of the prince shall come. The prince it's speaking of here is the prince of darkness, Satan. His people are the fourth beast, the Roman Empire, Edomites, who have colonized the whole earth. The Rothschilds. Rothschild means red child. Red, they're behind the banking system that will lead to the mark of the beast. Rothschild means red child. Genesis 25 tells us that Esau, the first, came out red all over, like a what? Like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Edom. Another name for him, let me get it here, if we may. Let's see if I have it here. There's other names for him. Not that, one moment. Here's a book that I actually have that I showed in the academy, where there's this historian who wrote in the early 1900s searching for Esau. You'll see this record in particular when I go into Who's Edom in the academy. As you can see, it says, the name Edom may have been pronounced as Odin. The very name Odin may also have been understood like the name Edom, to relate to a world root connoting brown or red as an English word dun. The term Odin was rendered as Wotan amongst the Anglo-Saxons and Scandinavians. The German Odin, however, was different and not necessarily the same as Wotan of Scandinavia and England. Odin in Germany was known as the wild hunter. Esau also had been called a warrior of the hunt. Another name for Odin in Germany was Kas. This is where you get the word Khazar from, Caesar from, or Caesar from, Kas. The national god of the Idumeans of Edom, southeast of Judah. Now I have the whole book. I'm going into it, Who's Edom. Like the thing that happened in Germany, that's no different than what we see here. With the Cold War against America, it was two sides, Edom playing with the bad guy on either side for their own narrative to do what? To make a one world order against us. Germans are Edomites. Don't ever believe that there was a battle between the Edomites here in America and the Edomites in Germany. It was a plan where the sympathy that would come when it comes to sympathizing for people who have suffered a serious Holocaust as slaves, that would be overlooked altogether through this new narrative. Germany is Esau. Odin is the god of the Norse people, of the Scandinavians, of the East Europeans. Odin was made a god by Satan under the Greek pantheon. Now, I'm going to go into that more, but when it says the prince of the people, it's speaking of Edomites, Romans, and the doing what? Getting their power from the prince of darkness, Satan. Huh? So now we can't talk about our plight anymore and what's going on with us, because you have other people out there saying they suffered something. See? That's why we're not going to align ourselves with any other people's cause until our cause alone is discussed. That's it. We've been suffering since our fall, since the fall of Jerusalem. So I'm not going to link my arms with Asians or anyone else claiming that something happened to them. I don't care who you are. Oh yeah, we say different. All people suffered. No, we don't want to hear that. Okay, we're still suffering by the hands of the same enemy. See, the Bible points them out. That's why they don't like the Bible. See, finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Daniel 9 verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off.
He shall be cut off, speaking of Christ.
But not for himself.
But not for himself, for us.
And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city.
Shall destroy the city. That's the Roman Empire. When it says the people of the prince, it's speaking of the principalities and powers of the air. The prince of darkness, Satan himself. When our forefather, when our forefather Jacob received the blessing from our father Isaac, Esau went to Mount Seir and made a deal with the prince of darkness, the god of the Canaanites, Satan himself. Our father Isaac told us in Genesis 27 that when the yoke is broken off of the neck, which means when the yoke is broken off, if your children sin, Esau is going to rule. See? He will have dominion. At the very end, your brother will rule the earth if you sin. See? So what happens here? Esau goes to Mount Seir. Genesis 36, he gives his daughters to Nephilim blood to bring forth what they would call the Neanderthal, the Horite, the caveman, the stronger man, so that they can physically have children compared to the naturally strong children of Jacob. See? Caveman doesn't come from some Neanderthal 100 billion years ago. Caveman is written of in the Bible, the Horites who came from Esau dealing with Nephilim blood. And they became cave dwellers, caveman. So that they can have children who could do what? Keep up with the natural strength of our children. Huh? So they made a deal with the devil. And the devil said, well, listen, I'll give you technology to go against your brother, to destroy them eventually. But understand, there's rules. These people are protected by their God. You, Esau, must cause them to sin. If they sin, then I'm subjected as their leader. I'm the God that's placed over them if they sin against that law. Esau, you must set up a system, a government that will allow these people to sin freely and will destroy them both at the end. I'll help you destroy the people, and you help me to fight against Christ. Whoa. That was a deal that was made thousands of years ago with Esau, who's known as Odin. Now, we want to bring it up to our current time. Queen Elizabeth of England, who's really a German from the Wesson family. She said her bloodline goes directly to the god Odin. Odin. This is where you get that whole notion of vampire from. Transylvania and all that. Well, really, Dracula is Satan himself. But it goes back to Odin, folks. Odin was the bloodletter. He ruled through murder, through blood, through the killing of others. See? The war god, the hunter. He made an alliance with Satan against us. And this is what it says in the book of Daniel, that the people of the prince, after Christ is crucified, will come against our people in Jerusalem. It was showed to the prophet Daniel. Huh? See, I'm going to tell you, the worst thing they could have done, okay, they should have just left us alone. Okay? Because now, every time we speak, we understand it might be the last time. And every time I broadcast going forward, I'm going to be dropping nothing but serious spiritual bombs that will totally destroy the lies that have captured our people. Every time going forward, it's going to be nothing but meat. Okay? Starting now and going into tomorrow. They should have left us alone. All right? Come on, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. The middle of verse 26. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined.
Now, when it says, what? It will end with a flood. The book of Revelation tells us that after we fell, the Gentiles began to flood through missionaries to teach lies and to bring diseases and poisons as a flood against the children of Israel who were no longer protected. Once we sinned against God, Christ was crucified, and now what happens? Jerusalem was taken by the Roman Empire. We got the history. So when you hear about diseases, plagues, and all that, these are all part of the flood they used to attack and to destroy and to kill off a certain population, Israelites. So when you hear choice words, when people say, when we get enough people to get it, oh, we have to deal with the people who are really inordinately affected by it. Affected by what? We didn't hear about none of this in 2019, in 2018. But folks, I have a video that was sent to me that I'm going to play tomorrow in the academy. An original Man in Black. When you see Man in Black with the guy, Will Smith and others, they have real Men in Black that they actually made that narrative from. Who's talking about everything we're dealing with now and how he was told this in the early 80s, what was going to happen, what we're experiencing right now from his own mouth. I can't play it here on YouTube, but I'm playing it tomorrow on the news. When you hear about diseases and all these stuff, because there's no one being affected by all this stuff, more so when it comes to a disease coming down to the pipeline, it seems like it settles disproportionately within our communities, as if it's strategically aimed towards us. It is. It's called the flood. It's not a flood of water. It's a flood of lies through religion, healthcare, and education. Those three they would use to destroy our people while in captivity. Come on, other lawyer, let's do it.
Verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation.
He will make our land desolate of the people until the consummation. That means all the prophecies are fulfilled, leading to the coming of our Christ. So, folks, the abomination will exist until Christ returns. Stop going to the government and others praying for change in hopes that things will get better. We can only control ourselves and our homes and do what's right to get on the path. This earth will stay wicked and wax worse until Christ returns, and it's up to us to save our children from it. They have ramped up the flood now. And they're targeting now because they know they can't get us. We're hedged by God and Christ. The agreement, if you're under the law, they can't touch you. Okay? But they're after your children. If they can convince their children not to believe what you believe, it doesn't matter. They got the next generation anyway. And that's the inundation we see of the letter people in all this all that stuff you see out there is because they know the time is here. The awakening of the Israelites are here. The prophecy of the consummation that meets the sum when our people stand as the children of God on earth is here. Let's say, listen, let's get rid of them. Let's get their children. Because the rules, the laws of engagement is Satan cannot touch anyone that God doesn't allow. It was our sin where our forefathers gave over their children to the Gentiles for sacrifice. Even when Christ was on the cross and Christ says, on the crucifix, and Christ stated to our father, Ahiah, forgive them for they know not what they do. Even before that, our people said, give us Barabbas and let the sin fall on our children. Crucify him. We'd rather our children suffer than to keep this man alive. Now look at us. We turned our children over to the Roman Empire. And look at us. The people of the prince is Satan. Come on.
And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation.
Even until the consummation, read.
And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
And that shall be poured upon the desolate. Our homeland is desolate till this day. There is no peace in the Middle East, and there will not be any peace in the Middle East until the Most High bring forth the last judgment. At the valley of Jehoshaphat, that land must be totally destroyed in war before our mother receives us again. And Christ is going to drop the last foot. He got all of them in the Middle East for his reason. They're going to lose their armies when Christ returns. I can't go into that right now. Okay. But this is where they lose the power. So what Esau is doing, he understands that too many people are waking up right now. That eventually he's not going to have enough people who believe in his patriotism and all that to fight in his wars. So now they must move this because our people are realizing that they're signing up to join Satan's military. And our people are like, no, I didn't engage myself to go against my own people. I wanted an education. I didn't do this to fight against God in Christ. So now they're in a race to bring one world order where one system is in place where they don't need police or military anymore. Because they can no longer trust the people not to turn against them and choose sides with God and Christ. They can no longer trust the people. And they're going into a robotic stage because people with a conscience will fight against them. This is where we're segueing to. Right? So we're going into the final desolation. So they're in a race for time, brothers and sisters, to implement the New World Order before our people fully wake up, begin to pray to the Most High to be protected. And don't forget, this is not no physical war. It's not going to be physical until Christ returns. But as long as we wake up and come to the knowledge of the truth and teach our children the law, statutes, and commandments, we'll be winning on earth the spiritual war. And that's the war that must be won first. Now, Elder Lawyer, desolation of abomination that was written of in Daniel. Christ talked about that. Let's go to Mark 13 and 14.
St. Mark chapter 13, verse number 14. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet.
Now you see what Christ is saying to our people? He's speaking to our people in Israel. Now some people might ask, well, hold up. Isn't this white people? Is this Jewish people? No. I'm going to prove to you these are black people. These are black people. Hold that, Elder Lawyer. And I need you to get Acts. The book of Acts, which says that the disciples were called Niger.
Acts chapter 13, verse number 1.
Read it.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch.
In the church that was at Antioch. Now mind you, Romans are European. Romans are white people. There was no white people in the church until Paul began to do what? To convert them as Gentiles into the Roman church. Read it.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger.
That were called what?
That was called Niger.
Spell that word for me.
N-I-G-R.
N-I-G-E-R. Exactly. And this is why they call us niggers. Because the apostles were called that by the Romans. It only means black. That means Christ and the disciples, the original church, were all black people until we began the conversion of Gentiles. It's not racist, it's the truth. The Romans were known pagans. And at this time, the Romans were predominantly dealing with a secret worship of Mithras. Just do the historical research outside the Bible. I know what the Romans were worshiping. They're blood drinking, child molesting, sacrificing at the helm of their religion. That's what they do. Black people were the original church. It's not me being racist or trying to empower myself as a black man. No. The Bible tells you that the first disciples were called Niger because they were black. The Romans are Edomites. They're white people. And the only reason they got an opportunity to stake claim to any of this salvation was because of a black man named Christ who died on the crucifix for the sins of the world. I mean, at least show some appreciation for those who were the forerunner of whom you claim to believe in. If it wasn't for black people having black people, there would be no Christ born in the earth to die on the cross for our stinking and for your white people's sins. Show our people, the people who born you, some respect. Read it again.
But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand.
Let he that readeth understand. Come on.
Then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains.
Flee to the mountains. So what happened in 70 AD, Vespasian and his son Titus came against our people. There was a lie in the earth that we were burning markets, that we were burning things. In Rome, there was a lie. Years beforehand, when Nero paid the military to dress up like Israelites to claim that something was going on in Rome, he burned 7 different blocks where the merchants were and blamed it on black Jews. And that was a pretext for them to now demonize us because why? They felt that Christianity was a threat to their worshiping of the prince, Satanist pagan religions. So they had to demonize us because why? We were peaceful people. We weren't looking to go against the Roman Empire. So they had to lie against us. The same way there's no Israelites anywhere right now that's looking to go against white people. But yet every time you hear about Israelites in the media, they're demonizing our people who know we're Israelites. That's the only time they'll put Israelites in the media is when it's something negative. They did that before. Vespasian and Titus. Let's read it.
Verse 15. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of the house. And let them that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Read that again, that last piece.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck and in those days, and pray that your flights be not in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved.
Now, now, folks, I'm going to show y'all this real quick, right? Now, a few months after this happened, a campaign came out in the earth to say that there was disease that's from Wuhan and it's affecting the whole earth. And eventually black people got to be the people who get something, right? Look at what happened in December. I wonder. You can't make this up. I mean, Esau isn't trying to be original at all. Right? I need y'all to check this out. Check this out, folks. 1 second. December 2019, 3 months before the propaganda you're seeing now that leading to the Colt 45 being administered, look what they had in the news, folks. Look what they said in the news. Huh? Look what they said in the news. This is from an article by Michael Gold, a Jewish guy. Right? 1 second. Okay. Let's go here real quick. Let's read it. By Michael Gold. Look what it says here. Now here it looks like, they got, a picture conveniently centered that states, look at what it says here. Suspect in Jersey City linked to Black Hebrew Israelite group. Now, they never pulled back this story, folks. They never pulled back this story because when it came down to you pull the layers, there was no connection between this guy and any Israelites anywhere. But it's out there. The Black Hebrew Israelites have been labeled a hate group. The suspect wrote anti-Semitic and anti-police posts, an official said. So they claimed this guy was online writing anti-Semitic posts. Look at this convenient story. And look at the date for this. December the 11th, 2019. Y'all thought this went away, right? So now what we're seeing was their plan to get rid of Israelites who are now really, or get rid of people who are now in number turning from churches and coming back to their original origin. Same thing that happened during the time of Nero. An assailant involved in the prolonged firefight in Jersey City that left 6 people dead, including one police officer, was linked on Wednesday linked. That means someone said, well, how can we link this random crime, if it happened, who knows, to Hebrew Israelites? He was linked on Wednesday. Now, folks, believe me, if it was exactly what they were saying, we would still be hearing about this story. Was linked on Wednesday to black Hebrew Israelites and had published anti-Semitic posts online, a law enforcement official said. What law enforcement official? How did you link it? What did you use to link it? And then if you see the Southern Poverty Law Center, know that this is a center set up by the devil himself right here. See? Why am I going there, folks? Right after this story broke, I went online and showed through some of their data how many black people now are realizing and knowing or think to some degree that we've been lied to, that they've been lied to. That blacks think or are starting to believe more so that we're the children of Israel. And then a few months after that, everything shuts down. We don't hear about this story anymore. And then all of a sudden, our people in the neighborhoods are the targets that need to be more so healed from something. Huh? You think it's a coincidence? Think again. There's nothing new under the sun. The same way a market was decimated, blamed on black people. It's the same thing that happened in 70 AD with Nero. And eventually, it allowed the Senate to make a vote to have military guard Jerusalem, like you see what's going on right now in Washington, D.C., where someone stole whatever that happened there, and there's military still there. And when during this whole campaign leading up to the election, there were what? There were canned vandalisms in certain key strategic cities where our people are what? Populated in number. And every place where the vandalisms happened up until the election, they left military there. Sounds familiar? Huh? How do we lose Jerusalem? The same way we're losing our communities now. We allow them to demonize us. We allow them to separate us, and no one calls it out. And because we didn't call it out back then, this is why we're in captivity now. Right? Let's go, Elder Lawyer. Finish reading what you have in Mark.
Yes, sir. Verse number 20. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days.
So he hath shortened the days that the prince, the devil in Esau, has on this earth to rule. Because if he didn't shorten their time, and it's starting now, folks, this campaign is a soft kill. And like I said last night, a lot of people are going to make these choices, brothers and sisters. Be prepared for people you know close to you just magically come up dead. Out of nowhere, they're dead. And no one is going to tie 2 and 2 together. But you're going to know what really happened. Okay? They're strategically making this a black issue where our communities are, to strategically, and you're going to find out a lot of our people, in fear of not knowing what this is in our absence, are going to be making choices without telling us. And when you see our people dropping like flies, some you warned, some that you thought wouldn't do it, you're going to know you're in a desolation that was prophesied. But they're doing it, folks. They're doing it through the chemicals now. And they've been prepped us to receive this a long time ago. A long time ago, they began to program this in our subconscious. It started with execution through the electric chair. And they say, hold up, that's too inhumane. Inhumane, the person is dying. Then they came up with what? Let's do a more humane way of doing this. And let's make it where we'll give the family resolve through a lethal injection. And now, if you're on death row, they use lethal injections where you're sitting there and they're just putting this stuff up in your veins and you just conveniently go to sleep. A peaceful way of crossing over. I don't know how old you are, but in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this Jewish guy going around putting people out of their misery called Dr. Kevorkian. Here it is, these people were suffering with a low quality of life and wanted an humane way of being able to cross over, living a life with low, with low expectations of it, a lower quality of life. So Dr. Kevorkian, being the good doctor to really care about people, was conveniently putting cocktails together to put people to sleep who were suffering. See, let me tell you, folks, it was being programmed in our subconscious the whole time for the time we are living in now. A desolation. Elder Lawyer, let's get Luke 21 and 20 now.
Yes, sir. St. Luke chapter 21, verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
When you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, when you see that they have put in some type of what you would call propaganda that lead to high military presence, know that the desolations are nigh. The military presence isn't for what the media told us it's for. See? Because once they're in place to do what? Follow future orders. So when you see that vandalism going on, a lot of that, and we thought was Black Lives Matter, but you had white guys out there with masks on and all that, spraying Black Lives Matter, and the troops was going from city to city and Minnesota to Philadelphia. Oh, you thought that was all about black cops against white cops against black guys. And us standing up, yeah, let's go get us a PS, let's go get us an Xbox, yeah, let's get us a TV. Nah. Can't you see the government allowed all that and didn't push back? Even CNN, all of them was out there saying, yeah, you should go out there and we should do peaceful protesting. They wanted you out there. And what did we tell you? Do not go. Many people didn't listen because they needed the crowd. They needed the mob. They needed the mob as a pretext to say this is why military's in your cities now. Huh? Read it, Elder Lawyer.
21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
So it says we have to make a trench. We have to put up a situation, a scenario where the people outside of Jerusalem will feel safe. So we have to make it where let's demonize these people to a degree where the Gentile nations don't push back against us from a PR standpoint while we destroy these people. So we must demonize them to give it a convenient excuse of why it's good to exterminate them. See? So when you see those stories out there linked to this, linked to that, folks, if there was an Israelite out here doing something, it wouldn't be no links or nothing. They would love a story where an Israelite actually did something out there. They wouldn't have to link it. One official said, he linked, oh, there was something on social media. So they'll tie these stories together, a random thing, and they'll say black Israelites. Because why? They know there's no Israelites trying to do anything to people. They know that. The threat is our people waking up through Israelites teaching. That's the problem. Because you cannot teach a people of the law who would become convenient slaves to Gentiles knowing they're Israelites. They're looking at the future of their children and what happens if our children grow up knowing that we're not less than them. That's their problem. Whoa. Come on, Elder Lawyer.
22. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
All things that are written must be fulfilled. Read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They shall fall by the edge of the sword.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
They shall be. This is Christ speaking now. There's not Elder Ricard. This is Christ saying that the people who went into captivity to serve other nations throughout the four corners of the earth are the true Israelites. This is Christ. This is Christ giving us the reason for captivity, slave ships. Why it all happened, why the Gentiles rule over us naturally and have more than us. This is Christ. So you can't try to claim that this is some cult movement. This is some idea that just was catched up a few years ago by some Israelite and cult members. Nah, that's deflection, folks. Don't listen to none of that. Christ said that we're the Hebrews, we're the Israelites who will be led away captive, and that the Gentiles, the Romans, would be behind it. And you're looking at the devil on your screen who was behind it. Vespasian, a child of the devil, and his son Titus. That's history. Christ said it would happen, and it happened exactly like it was prophesied by Christ. And Christ was quoting the book of Daniel, that for our disobedience, we would lose Jerusalem for a time, until the times of the Gentiles be come in. Let's go, Elder Lawyer.
It says here, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
Shall be trodden down by who?
Of the Gentiles.
So who's in Jerusalem right now?
The Gentiles.
The who?
The Gentiles.
The what?
The Gentiles.
The
The Gentiles.
The what?
The Gentiles.
Those are Gentiles over there. Any Christian with any common sense reading this Bible would know that there would be no UN agreement to place people over in a land that's prophetically was given to a people of God. There wouldn't be there's no place in the decree, in prophecy, decreeing that the United Nations would set up a people to be God's people over in the land. So the land is desolate of her people. Now that we're thinking that we're Israelites, the Gentiles have become paranoid. Because they was like, oh, if they know they're Israel, then they know that the land that we're fighting over belongs to them. And if they have hopes to go back there, they won't conveniently, live as slaves, being enslaved by our children in foreign lands. These people will break the New World Order if their children wake up. How can we instill the New World Order when the children of Israel have risen from the graves? They've awakened. They've been revived. See? Come on.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations.
And shall be led away captive, slaves, into all nations.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So that means prophetically from the heavens, there's a time of judgment on the Gentiles who went into our land and stole our riches. Now you see why they are attacking Israelites now? Now you see why they calling being an Israelite a cult now? Now you see when it comes to any media, with all the good we're saying about following the laws, keeping our families together, doing what's right in our communities, but they're not saying none of that when the Israelites teach. When it's a lot of that out there, the only time the media, the synagogue of Satan, speak about Israelites is when they're parsing and putting together lies against God's people. That's their modus operandi. They are liars. Right? Now, Elder Lawyer, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 22.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 22.
Proving to you that it was showed to Moses too. So Christ confirms it. The prophet Daniel confirms it. And then guess what? It was confirmed with Moses. Huh? Let's read.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and with inflammation.
So hold up now. By actually not keeping the commandments of God, sicknesses, the Gentiles would be allowed to disease us. See? And if only they can get something in our bloodstream, in our veins, what would happen? Let's read.
The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption and with fever.
A fever.
And with inflammation.
Inflammation.
And with extreme burning.
Extreme burning.
And with the sword.
And with what? The sword, killing.
And with blasting and with mildew. And they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
Now you notice, folks, inflammation comes in many forms. And I'm hearing now that some people are suffering right after they get the situation. Inflammation of the brain. See? So that means our people would get targeted by the Gentiles to be diseased. Black plague, Hispanic plague, whatever you want to call it, we're the target for all the diseases. And the Bible prophesied they would target us with that. Right? Hold on. Let's go to the 25th verse, Elder Lawyer.
Verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Shall cause thee for disobedience, because we don't listen as a people, to be smitten before our enemies.
Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth.
And the children of Israel, it was told to Moses, would be moved throughout all the kingdoms of the earth. We would serve the Asians. We would serve the Babylonians. We would serve the Edomites. And through that, they would become rich and powerful. Gentiles. But until the times of the Gentiles be come in. Their time is almost up. We're free when we no longer live the lie of believing we're less than them. And the only way you're not less than them, the only way is if you are an Israelite. Because Israelites, according to the Bible, are God's chosen people. Don't let people minimize your worth by bringing you down, claiming that all people are the same. You know we're all not the same. And they know we're all not the same. Don't let them minimize your worth by bringing them down in the gutter with them. No, we are above all people. See? See, because when you get there and understanding who you are, then you can build a healthy non-trust. If you believe all things are equal, you believe these people have no vices or not planning anything against me. Now, if I know I'm different than them, I can't trust them. Okay. Anything they're saying, anything they're doing, nah. I will filter your words through the words of God. And I'll lean on him in that understanding of whether or not I should listen to you. So automatically, when you know you're different, you don't trust these people because they say one thing and they do another. See? Finish reading.
Yes, sir. Jumping down to verse number 49.
Yeah.
And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
As swift as the eagle flieth. The book of Obadiah says, though Esau exalt himself as the eagle, pointing out a prophecy of the race of people who joined themselves with the prince. Edomites, Europeans. Now, are we saying all Europeans? Absolutely not. See, because let me tell you, even the white man knows that there's many white people out there that has our blood in them. So this thing goes well beyond the outward appearance. So they had to set up a new chemical way to actually attack a specific genetic marker. A specific genetic marker, because there's some white people who you may think are white, but our daddy seed is strong. So you're going to see some white people suffering and dropping and all that because you may think they're Edomites, but they have that blood up in them. And our blood, brothers and sisters, our father's blood, Jake's blood is strong. See, we can have white people. I mean, that's been proven even through their science. So you may think you're going against a white. That's why I don't judge the outward appearance and say that I don't make a blatant statement on all white people. Because I know there's going to be some white people in the Israelite line and we're going to be like, whoa. When Christ divided the nations. See? That's why I don't judge people strictly off of the color of their skin. Because we can have white people. Esau knows it. Satan knows it. So he set up a genetic chemical that can attack a certain genome. Jacob's. Let's go. Come on.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Come on.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which shall also eat thy corn, wine, oil, and increase of thy flocks and kine. Jumping down to verse 52. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates.
He shall besiege thee in all thy gates. That's limiting travel. Gates is how we used to travel outside our province. They will make it where a specific people's travel is restricted. See that? You didn't know that was in the Bible. Now they're talking about all these new types of passports and all this stuff. At the same time saying only a specific people is really affected by this inordinately. Black people. Huh? I think people are getting... hey, folks. I'm looking at some of what y'all saying there. It seems like y'all putting two and two together. That's good enough. Right? Come on.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down.
Until thy high and fenced walls come down.
Wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Now we're going to jump right to it because it was prophesied and it happened. The Bible aside, history tells us, and I have Roman books, The Fall of the Roman Empire. History tells us that the Roman Empire destroyed Jerusalem. That happened. The Bible tells you that Jerusalem was destroyed, and through that we would go into captivity. That happened. Who are these people? We are the children of Israel. Now, let's go into some history now. Put that down, other lawyer, and see if Daniel, Jeremiah, Moses, and all that. Let's see if that's historically correct. All right? Because you have some people out there, simple as a day's old, arguing over 12 tribes chart. And I'm like, listen, I'm well beyond that. It's time to help our people now. You late to the party. That argument ended 7 years ago. 1825, Ethan Smith. He'll tell you that the 12 tribes charts is correct. That's 1825, before I was born. Ronald Sanders. Okay? A Jewish guy who did some research, and he did research to try to discredit the fact that Indians and others and the indigenous people of America was claiming to be the lost tribes of Israel. Ronald Sanders went in as a Jewish guy to discredit those particular accounts. And what happened? He found out it was true. That the Indians, the Balikwa Taino Indians, the Jamaicans and others, all these people are from the lost tribes of Israel. So don't let anyone tell you that REI came up with a sign and that Abba Bivens, nah, it's all crap. The sign is written of in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, where Ezekiel tell you that to write on one stick, Judah and his fellows, and on the other stick, Ephraim and his fellows, and join them to one stick. That's the Bible. There is no two sticks, the Bible and the book of Latter-day Saints. Ezekiel 37 is the two sticks. Putting both of them together at the very end, so that we'll know that we were separated due to sin, and Christ has come to tear down that middle wall of partition to bring back the 12 tribes of Israel like it once was under David. Huh? Now, so when you see people arguing the 12 tribes chart, understand you're dealing with low level people who need school. They're not even on the level to actually discuss how is we as Israelites can get up out of this mess we're under and come back to the laws of God. They want us to go into an argument about who put some charts together when it doesn't matter. It was prophesied that the 12 tribes of Israel would know who they are in the last days. And guess what? When you look at other people who put charts together, were they all perfect and right? No, they weren't all perfect and right. But at least they put in work to try and an effort to do what? To search for the people. You Christians aren't even doing that. You just want us to believe Jewish people are the people. At least they took the time and research to find the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And that's more than Muslims are doing, and that's more than Christians has done. Let's get it from Babylon and Timbuktu real quick, and let's get some out of the Josephus, and we'll end it.
This is from Babylon and Timbuktu, page number 84.
Read.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state.
Okay, read on.
With great slaughter.
So this man, this demon right here, and his son planned what? To trap our people in Masada and to kill us for the last stand that we would have as a people in Jerusalem. That's history. That's not religion. That's not a belief. That's history. Edomites, Romans coming against black Jews. Israelites, the original Jews. And again, I'm not saying that the Jewish people aren't Jews. I know they're Jews. They're Jews through conversion. They converted to Judaism during the time of Hyrcanus. They converted. But there's a difference between someone who's a Jew according to conversion or religion and our people who are Jews or Israelites according to bloodline and prophecy. That's the difference. I can't say these people aren't Jews because even Christ called them Jews. Even during the time of Hyrcanus, the Maccabees, we called them Jews if they converted and put down Satanism. But when you get into this academy and see what we're going to break down according to all religions, you're going to know that they didn't take the deal. They didn't operate with the deal right. And I'm going to go into that in the academy. Come on.
It says, during the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people.
Come on.
During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
Over what?
Over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
How did we get into Africa?
It says, during the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa.
Fled into Africa.
Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
Fleeing from the Roman Empire, the Edomites, and slavery. Read.
The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
And the slave markets were filled with black Jew slaves. Which ended up with us going into Africa, being negotiated with, because some of our kings and all that, you know, they had to keep their power by negotiating for arms to keep their villages together. End up selling us over here into the Americas in an agreement with Edomites. Africa is the Middle Passage. Now you put what the history we're putting together. We left Jerusalem. We were forced out of Jerusalem in 70 AD and ran into Africa. Africa isn't the motherland. It was a middle passage between our homeland, Jerusalem, and our captivity here in Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. You put that together, and you put this white guy, who's a Jewish guy who came together and did the research that the North American Indians and the indigenous people here were already here before the white man are all from the tribes of Israel together. And you'll know that what we're saying when it comes to the 12 tribes chart is absolutely, unquestionably true. That we're the children of Israel. We met our brothers over here. Our brothers was here since 721 BC. Almost 800 years, 700 years before Christ was born. The 10 tribes already started migrating over here to the Americas. If you think this is something, wait till you see what I'm going into tomorrow. The creation of the universe. Elder Lawyer, history. Show them the Josephus. The Josephus, even though I have an older version from 1816 right here, that I got some stuff in here you're not going to believe. It's not in the book that Elder Lawyer has right here. They're taking a lot of stuff out. But anyway. Let's go into the desolation out of the book of Josephus to give people an account of what happened back then. Okay. By the hands of the Romans against black Israelites, black Jews. All right. Where are you, Elder Lawyer? War of the Jews, volume 6. As a matter of fact, let's go to volume 5, the 12th part in the first verse, where Titus and Vespasian builds a wall. Build a wall. Let's read it.
Wars of the Jews, book 5, chapter 12, paragraph 1.
Read.
And now did Titus consult with his commanders what was to be done.
What was to be done. Read.
Those that were of the warmest tempers thought he should bring the whole army against the city and storm the wall.
So the first plan was to have the military go in all together and storm our people who were in Jerusalem. Read.
For that as yet no more than a part of their army had fought with the Jews, but that if the entire army was to come at once, they would not be able to sustain their attacks, but would be overwhelmed by their darts.
See, but they couldn't overcome us at that time because we in Masada had the high ground. So if the army tried to come against us, we would have rallied together for self-preservation and destroyed them. See, this is why Esau had to do divide and conquer first. Here in the Americas, they had to separate the woman from the man, the family, and move us in the corporate world so that we don't know what it is to build within ourselves. That's why they had to strategically do that now. Because if we understood that all of us were under attack, we would stop these menial arguments and divisive issues amongst each other and come together knowing that the Roman Empire is at the gate. See, back then, it was no question. See? Read.
But of those that were for a more cautious management, some were for the raising of their banks again, and others advised to let the banks alone, but still to lie before the city, to guard against the coming out of the Jews, and against their carrying provisions into the city, so to leave the enemy to the famine, and this without direct fighting with them.
So without directly fighting with them, let's just control their resources. Let's make sure no water and food go into the city. Let's starve them. Folks, you see what's in place right now? Where now it's DoorDash, and they're going to make it where it's almost, you're going to be it's going to be fearful to even go to a store or supermarket where you're going to have to order your food and have somebody drop it at the door. That's them controlling your consumption. See, it's systematic now because you have to have a more technological system, being that there's so many people in America or living in a Western world city. But it's the same thing. We must put a system in place where we can cut them off at any time. Food and water. And we have to make it where it's fearful to go outside. Therefore, at any point in times, at any time, in the cover of the night, we can begin to extract people. This is what's coming, folks. So I'm showing you the comparisons. The desolation is here. But they're doing it in a sleek way. They're doing it in a way undercover where people can die and they can easily just say, well, they died of this. Oh, it was a heart attack. Oh, it's this. Well, no one knows how they died. Then they can begin to cut off freedoms, you being able to liberally go where you need to go. And then be able to track you even if you go there. It's the same plan of 70 AD on steroids. And no one is telling you this. The Masjid isn't telling you this. The Christian church isn't telling you this. That this is a plan to destroy Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem. The final solution is what this is. Read.
It says here, to guard against the coming out of the Jews and against their carrying provisions into the city, and so to leave the enemy to the famine, and without direct fighting with them, for that despair was not to be conquered, especially as to those who were desirous to die by the sword, while a more terrible misery than that is reserved for them. However, Titus did not think it fit for so great an army to lie entirely idle, and that it was yet in vain to fight with those who would be destroyed one by another. He also showed them how impractical it was to cast up any more banks for want of materials, and to guard against the Jews coming out still more impractical, as also that to encompass the whole city round about with his army was not very easy by reason of its magnitude and the difficulty of the situation, and on other accounts, dangerous upon the sallies the Jews might make it out of the city.
Go on.
For although they might guard the known passages out of the place, yet would they, when they found themselves under the greatest distress, contrive secret passages out, as being well acquainted with all such places. And if any provisions were carried in by stealth, the siege would thereby be longer delayed.
Now, did y'all know in America a new story just came out last week? When now the military is doing it in our communities, Meals on Wheels. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up, folks. It was on the news the other day that the military is going to help out in our communities, in the underprivileged communities, which means where Israelites are, to help out and deliver food for Meals on Wheels. Elder Lawyer, hold that and let's get Wars of the Jews 6:1, the miseries of Jerusalem.
I'll just read
Read it. Go ahead.
I'm jumping down to paragraph 2, verse 5:10, where it says, When Titus had therefore encompassed the city with this wall, and put garrisons into proper places, he went round the wall at the first watch of the night, and observed how the guard was kept. The second watch he allotted to Alexander, the commander of legions, took the third watch. They also cast lots among themselves who should be upon the watch in the nighttime, and who should go all night long round the spaces that were interposed between the garrisons. So all hope of escaping was now cut off from the Jews. Together with
that again.
So all hope of escaping was now cut off from the Jews.
All hopes of escaping was cut off from the Jews. Restrict travel, change how they actually are free to actually go get their foods and all that. That switch it all up incrementally, and it's really the boiling frog scenario, where you put a frog in the water and you turn up the heat slowly, where the frog initially feel like, okay, this is nice and cozy, it's warm up in here. Now, if you just throw the frog in the boiling water, it'll jump right back out. But a boiling frog, if you take the fire and put a frog in regular cold water and turn the heat on, it'll stay there until it becomes frog soup. This is what they're doing to our people. Oh no, there's nothing to see there. That person died of natural causes. There's no link at all. Everything is good. While you're sitting there, while they're planning the final solution. Read.
So all hope of escaping was now cut off from the Jews, together with their liberty of going out of the city. Then did the famine widen its progress and devoured the people by whole houses and families.
Come on.
The upper rooms were full of women and children that were dying by famine.
Women and children. This is why they wanted to separate strategically the man from the woman in this time. This way, when they come against our people, the majority of the households they'll be controlling will be women in households that are used to not having men there to protect them. So it wasn't to empower women at all. See? It's a military strategy so that women wouldn't have no resistance while the military comes in to destroy them and their children. Read on.
And the lanes of the city were full of dead bodies of the aged. The children also and the young men.
Hold up. Dead body of the what?
And the lanes of the city were full of the dead bodies of the aged.
Was filled with dead bodies of the aged. The campaigns claiming that people who are already frail should be the first in line. Elderly. And you're going to think they're dying of natural causes, right? See, this is really what you would call a sleek way of destroying the people before they come after the strong, before they engage the strong. Let's get the weak and the ignorant and the confused and the elderly and the weak out of the way first. And then we're going to deal with the strong. See? So this is what I'm saying is the true campaign of what's going on right now. But unless you know you are a Jew or an Israelite, you will be ignorant to Esau's and the devil's tactics against our people going on in the cities right now. Huh? Huh? How we lost Jerusalem is how we're losing now. Right? Read.
The children also and the young men wandered about the marketplaces like shadows, all swelled with the famine.
Hold up. All swelled with the famine. Then you're going to hear about campaigns. Okay, now that we have the elderly and those who are disproportionately dealing with comorbidities and all those other issues, now let's target the children in school. Not understanding the genetic makeup of what's being targeted in the solutions. They're going to move to the elderly and say, you know what? We need to fry the brains of the children. See? Look, I'm reading this. Nothing new under the sun. We didn't listen back then. Now, what we're reading here are the people who didn't listen to Christ, where they should have been somewhere else before it all went down. Now, eventually, yes, the Babylonian bounce will happen. But I'm telling you, they're putting this in place all over the earth right now. So even if you leave from one place to the next, certain things that they're implementing, you will not be able to escape. If your spirit isn't right and you're not guided through the straight gate to get to true safety. This is not just in Jerusalem. They have put this plan in place as a new world order strategy against us, knowing that God has awakened the children of God, that the Israelites are awakened now. So don't be like that frog who jumped out of the, out of the pot into the frying pan. It's deeper than just strategically moving from one place to the next. You must be guided through the Spirit. You must believe, and you must begin now keeping God's law and get in line with those who have a like mind. With that, we'll be protected from the evil wiles of the devil and his strategies against us. And on top of that, the Most High and the angels will kick in. We will be guided. Okay. The same way the righteous were gathered or guided out of Jerusalem into different parts of Africa, going into different parts of Timbuktu, building golden cities, refuges in the roughs and all that where the Gentiles couldn't even find. It's going on right now, folks. The Most High is making refuge for his people here on earth now. Right now, refuge is being made. It's upon us to do what's right and start implementing the truth with our families so that we're guided together by the Spirit of the Almighty and through Christ. Guess what? No weapons formed against us will ever prosper. Never fear. Fear is Satan's greatest tactics to put us under subjection. You're going to make the wrong decisions through fear. Come on, let's go.
But I can mention real quick, that's the key point, as you're mentioning, of following the true way, following the way of Christ. All of what we're reading here is an example of what happened to those who didn't follow Christ, who didn't take heed to that prince or that prophecy of leaving Jerusalem. Okay? They were caught up in this garrison, caught up in the siege that took place through Titus. Many of them thought they could fight against the Romans, and that's what really sparked a lot of what we're reading in this history. When you go back to 66 AD, they had a revolt where the Jews started revolting against the Romans, and we won some battles, which made us think that we had an opportunity of maintaining or withholding the Romans from overtaking Jerusalem. But eventually, the siege became too strong.
Exactly.
And they took us. But getting back to the point, that's the importance of following Christ. If you don't follow Christ, the same thing will happen as we're reading here.
Exactly. The water.
It says,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Anything else?
Just reading
Come on.
here. It says, the children also and the young men wandered about the marketplaces like shadows, all swelled with the famine, and fell down dead wheresoever their misery seized them. As for burying them, those that were sick themselves were not able to do it, and those that were hardy and well were deterred from doing it by the great multitude of those dead bodies, and by the uncertainty there was how soon they should die themselves. For many died as they were burying others, and many went to their coffins before that fatal hour was come. Nor was there any lamentations made upon these calamities, nor were heard any mournful complaints, but the famine confounded all natural passions. For those who were just going to lie down looked upon those that were going to rest with dry eyes and open mouths.
So they started starving us out. Now, this automatically triggers an innate animalistic nature in people, where it's no longer about the care of your fellow loved one or family member. It's about the survival of the fittest now. So what's going on? The strong of our people, mainly the young, have aligned themselves in gangs for survival, to loot and to destroy and to pillage their own people in Masada. Sounds like the ghetto right now, Nana.
It's going into that.
Let's go.
It says, a deep silence also and a kind of deadly night had seized upon the city, while yet the robbers were still more terrible than these miseries were themselves. For they break open the houses, or those houses, which were no other than graves of dead bodies, and plundered them of what they had, and carrying off the coverings of their bodies, went out laughing, and tried the points of their swords in their dead bodies, and in order to prove what metal they were made of, they thrust through some that still lay alive upon the ground.
Look at that. They had no regard for the dead. They were grave robbing and all that. All this time, our people not even realizing death is at the door, with the Roman Empire entrenched around us, saying, well, hold up. They started joking around, going into grave robbing. And then they would take swords off of dead bodies and all that. And somebody was sitting there dying on the street. A young guy would take a sword and just test the metal by stabbing and destroying his own family member or someone close to him who's already ailing on the ground, just to test how sharp their swords were. This wasn't Romans doing this, folks. This was us. So instead of us coming together under the Almighty saying, this is what Christ prophesied, how do we now, together operate in one spirit to call God to help us through this, we began to destroy one another. So what Vespasian and Titus planned was flawless. They said, you know what? I know these people. If we were to go against them, they would rally against us because they're easily triggered. And if they come together under one mind, there's no way we'll be able to be a force against them. They're too strong. When there's a common enemy, when they have a common enemy, they're too strong together. But if we sit back and wait and ration how much food comes in, these people will become impatient. They'll become hungry and they'll turn on one another. Have Esau studied us or what? Even when we see the drug dealers out there, they always come up with a convenient excuse. Listen, I got to feed my family. If I didn't sell it, the white man would have someone else here doing it. See? It's always a convenient excuse. It's the same thing. So eventually what happens is we began to destroy one another. One other story I would like to go into. Let's go straight to the woman. This sister who's left in the house. In the War of the Jews, volume 6, chapter 3, verse 4. Folks, when you read the War of the Jews, you need to read it in Josephus. You're gonna know beyond any shadow of a doubt, these people must have been us. You had some guys who were afraid that, because don't forget, some people came up rich in Masada, where they started robbing people, their own people, for gold and all that. Right? And when they started losing, their consciousness, and they started losing their minds a little bit, not having food and water naturally, they were afraid that, they were thinking, if I get through this, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Look at all the riches I have. Look at my gold. They started swallowing the gold to protect it from looters. Mm-hmm. They started eating the gold, our people. And so what? The Vangrils would come through, the barbarians, our people, the gang would come through and cut the bellies open to take the gold out of the people, out of our own family. This is what happens when you leave a people to themselves with no direction. That's why Esau say, nah, let's not storm them, because they'll go to their God, they'll pray together, and they'll win. Let's just sit back and don't allow them out, and they'll destroy each other. See? Mm-hmm. Now you notice, folks, this plan works flawlessly. Because I notice even in America this current day, what happened after they locked people down for a certain amount of time, where the neighbors were no longer neighborly. Did you notice that? It's the same psychology. Eventually, you'll start blaming each other for why we're in such a case and wondering, well, why you ain't following? That's why we're under this, because it's people like you ain't following the rules I'm following. And you begin to fight against one another. Mm-hmm. It happened in 70 AD. Y'all didn't know this was history, didn't you? This is how we lost Jerusalem. See? Same thing. You sit back and wait and hoping for things to change, but every day becomes the same, and you get restless, impatient, irritated. And there's no one to lash out against, so you start lashing out against those that are close to you, in your house, or next door to you. This is the same plan Vespasian and Titus did in 70 AD. History repeats itself. You are correct. Read on.
Real quick, I'm going to read the prophecy first in Deuteronomy 28 and 53, and then read the account.
Here's the prophecy. Read it.
And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body.
Thou shalt eat the fruit of your own body, which are your own children.
The flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee in the siege and in straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee.
And your enemies shall distress thee. It says another curse is, before you fall at Jerusalem, you will eat the fruit of your own bodies. You'll be eating your own children. Now, folks, I already put it out there that what's in some of the serums that they're giving people, aborted children. Okay, in the ingredients. All these corporations with certain foods where people, children, are part of the ingredients. But I digress. Let me show you a specific prophecy right now where a woman, some guys bust in her home because they smelled something cooking. Let's read, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. It says, there was a certain woman that dwelt beyond Jordan. Her name was Mary.
Her name was Mary, Miriam.
Her father was Eleazar of the village of Bethazov, which signifies the house of hyssop. She was eminent for her family and her wealth, and she fled away to Jerusalem with the rest of the multitude, and was with them besieged therein at this time. The other effects of this woman had been already seized upon, such as I mean, as she had brought with her out of Perea, and removed to the city, which she had treasured up besides, as also what food she had contrived to save, had been also carried off by the rapacious guards, who came every day running into her house for that purpose. So she had food and things stored up, but robbers were coming in and taking her every day and taking her provisions.
It was gangs and all that taken. She had money. Guess what? Her family had a renowned name. So they knew she had food in store. So they started taking all of her foods, all of her things she had in store. Read.
This put the woman into a very great passion, and by the frequent reproaches and imprecations she cast at these rapacious villains, she had provoked them to anger against her. But none of them, either out of their indignation she had raised against herself, or out of the commiseration of her case, would take away her life. And if she found any food, she perceived her labors were for others, and not for herself, and it was now become impossible for her to find any more food anyway, while the famine pierced through her very bowels and marrow.
Now we're talking about the Josephus War of the Jews, Volume 6, Chapter 3. War of the Jews and the Josephus, who chronologized the fall of Jerusalem, Volume 6, Chapter 3. Read.
It says that famine pierced through her very bowels and marrow, when also her passion was fired to a degree beyond the famine itself, nor did she consult with anything but with her passion and the necessity she was in. She then attempted a most unnatural thing, and snatching up her son, who was a child suckling at her breast, she said, "O you miserable infant, for whom I am preserved, or whom I shall preserve you in this war."
She said, how can I save you in this war? There's no food. I can't take care of you. Her baby, folks. Read.
That's why Christ says, woe to them that give suck in those days.
Exactly.
For whom I shall preserve you in this war, this famine, and this rebellion. As to the war with the Romans, if they preserve our lives, we must be slaves.
He says, if the Romans overtake us, eventually we'll be slaves to the Edomites, the white people. Read.
This famine also will destroy us even before that slavery comes upon us.
Come on.
Yet are these rebellious rogues more terrible than both the other. Come on, be you my food, and be you a fury to these rebellious varlets, and a byword to the world, which is all that is now wanting to complete the calamities of us Jews. As soon as she had said this, she killed her son and roasted him.
Listen to what happened to our people. What we're reading here, now this is what you call a true desolation. I don't know what happened, all that stuff, Germany and all that, but it's nothing compared to what I'm reading right here. This is what we should be talking about. What happened here and what happened when we came over here on slave ships. When it comes to systematic oppression against a people, we shouldn't be hearing about anyone's plight over what I'm reading right now. Which means everyone has issues, and I think everyone should take up their issues with who oppressed them. Like the Japanese saying that they were in internment camps. Listen, that's your thing. I don't have nothing to do with that. You deal with the people who did that to you. Something happened over in Germany or whatever. Okay. Hey, I'm not saying it didn't happen. That's between you and Germans. But when it comes to something happening of biblical proportions in this earth, none of these things should be spoken in the same stratosphere as what I'm reading right now and what has happened to our people in captivity. It's outright disrespectful and dismissive. I don't think anyone should go through suffering. I'm not saying that. But I think that if we're going to talk about oppression and destruction of a people on the land, we should actually highlight in America the people who suffered by the hands of those who founded America. And there's no other plight we should be talking about outside of that. Okay? Because what? When other people speak, it gives them what? Political protection and finances. They are incentivized through victimhood while the victims stay victims. While our people stay oppressed with no help. I just wanted to put that out there. Come on, let's go.
As soon as she had said this, she killed her son, then roasted him, and ate the one half of him.
Come on.
And kept the other half by her concealed. Upon this, the rebellious came in presently, and smelling the horrid scent of this food, they threatened her that they would cut her throat immediately if she did not show them what food she had gotten ready.
What food she gotten ready? She seasoned up her own child, her dead child. The gang smelled the food from the outside of the house, or the baby from the outside of the house cooking, and said, listen, woman, we know you're cooking. We can smell the food. Hand it over. Read.
She replied that she had saved a very fine portion of it for them, and nonetheless uncovered what was left of her son.
She uncovered what was left of her own son. And some people may look at this and say, well, oh my God, this is heinous. Well, it's no heinous than this is my body and my choice. And then your baby is being ripped off to be used for science and preservatives and food and everything else. It's just a more clean PR way of what we're reading right here. See? Come on.
But they were seized with a horror and amazement of mind, and stood astonished at the sight, when she said to them, this is my own son, and what has been done was mine own doing.
It was my own doing. She killed her own son to do what? To preserve her son from captivity. And because they looted her food, she had no food in store, she cut her son and was using him to sustain by cooking him. Read on.
This is my own son, what has been done of my own doing. Come eat of this food, for I have eaten of it myself. Do not you pretend to be either more tender than a woman, or more compassionate than a mother. But if you be so scrupulous, and do abominate this my sacrifice, as I have eaten the one half, let the rest be preserved for me also. After which those men went out trembling, being never so much frightened at anything as they were at this.
The guys left out there trembling because it was smelling good from the outside until they realized what it took. Looking into this woman's eyes and her explaining how the food got there. They threw up and they like, oh my God, this is the terror that was placed on our people. Okay? Inflicted by what? Policy and a plan by the military to keep resources from our people until they destroy us altogether. Restricting travel, restricting food. Incentivizing divisive political tactics within our communities, knowing that a nation divided against itself cannot stand. Now, I'm going to say this before I end. Are we not in the midst of a desolation right now? And if we are, what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to sit back and let prophecy overtake us? Or are we going to take hold of our lives, get our families together, and order ourselves aright with God's law? The same way our forefathers were warned, which led to the loss of our homeland, Jerusalem, is the same way we're all being warned right now. And no telling how many people during this time was saying the disciples told us this would happen. We should have listened. Christ said this would happen. We were in the churches. We were amongst the congregations. We mocked those who was telling us the truth. We thought if we didn't believe it or if we just dismissed it, that the prophecies wouldn't take hold. And now look at us. The Romans, the people of the prince, the people of Satan are doing exactly what the prophets said they would do. And look at us. We're without hope. We are without options. How can we now say, God help us? What, the same God who warned you when you had opportunity? Here we are. Time and chance happens to all men. And brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, it was prophesied that we would be saved out of this if we make right with the time given. Jeremiah 30, Jacob's trouble, and we're going to end it there. And I hope to see you all in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, where we'll take this spiritual fire that's burning right now into tomorrow. What are you going to do? Because I'm about what? Giving what the Most High have given me in this truth and understanding, and putting that truth into action. What are you going to do? Let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Jeremiah 30, verse 6. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble.
It's the time of what?
Jacob's trouble.
This is the time of Jacob's trouble, but what?
But he shall be saved out of it.
But he shall be saved out of it. There will be no rapture. There will be no rapture. That was a lie, folks. We must fix what's in our power to fix. It doesn't take much. It's going through that straight gate. Elder Lawyer. One more scripture. One moment. Let's go to Matthew 7. This is Christ. Let's end it with Christ.
St. Matthew chapter 7.
Verse 12.
Verse number 12. Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do even so to them.
That means treat people like you want to be treated. Read.
For this is the law and the prophets. Enter ye in at the strait gate.
Enter ye in at the strait gate.
For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
You're going to find out that wide and broad gate is this world. This world is our test. The law is the path that gets us to our world. I'm going to be breaking that down in the creation of the universe. Folks, we were brought here in a test. The world is a straight gate. This world belongs to Esau right now. You got fire on one side and water on the other, and the law is our path to our promises. We can't go over left or right. We have to stay focused on the Most High. It's a tightrope that only one man can go at it at a time. And guess what? Only 1 foot on the path can march at a time for one person. That's how narrow our kingdom is. If you listen to what's going on over here or over there, you're going to fall. Read.
Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
Come on.
And many there be which go in thereat.
And many, the majority of the people are going to fall. Read. Like I said, be prepared for those close to you. crossing over through these choices. We're in a desolation, but it's a soft kill right now. Read.
Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.
And there's going to be only a few that have found the truth and who would stick with it. Elder Lawyer, one more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I conclude until tomorrow. I have to prepare for the academy. I need you to get, Elder Lawyer, let's see here, Isaiah 1 and 9. We're going to end it there. Isaiah 1 and 9. And before you go there, you can go to historytimes.org to enroll for the Academy, the creation of the universe. If you go there and there's a problem, if you have any problems enrolling there, it's okay. You can go to royaltymusicbyshepherd.com. It's in the comments there. royaltymusicbyshepherd.com, and we put a link there to enroll in the academy in case something goes wrong from historytimes.org. Just giving you more options. Okay? Let's read it.
Isaiah chapter 1 verse 9. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant.
Unless the Most High left upon our people a what?
A very small remnant.
A very small remnant. Read.
We should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
We all would have been like Sodom and Gomorrah. Not only would we be what? Enticed into that type of behavior, because that's the spirit that's really controlling the earth. But we would have been destroyed like the Most High destroyed Sodom. If the Most High didn't love us enough to have a remnant who would stand in this last day with truth. This is why here it is. We can be doing anything we want, and we here on the Sabbath teaching the laws of God, teaching the pathway to Christ's kingdom. Read it again.
Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah.
Come on.
To what purpose is this multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams, and of the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks, or of lambs, or of he-goats.
And guess, because the sacrifice the Most High requires now is you. We must bring forth our life as a daily sacrifice for Him, for our people. It's not about the bulls and bullocks, not more. We have to present ourselves as a living sacrifice, like Christ sacrificed for our people. What are we willing to do for our people? To bring again Jacob. It's no more trying to prove who is an Israelite anymore. Now that we know we're Israel, will we follow the true light towards Christ's kingdom? That's the phase we're in now. Okay? With that, I'm going to say shalom. May the Most High be with you. If you want to support the church, you can see there on the Cash App, $GOCC 144 donate is for these broadcasts. If you have Cash App, if you don't, that's okay. Go to gatheringofchrist.org, hit donate, and there's other options. PayPal, credit card, it doesn't matter. As much support as we get, the more work we can do with the resources, because the Bible tells us money is a defense. Okay? And with this, we will spread the word of truth and be here before you. We're setting up Patreon so that you can get the videos, 1,000 videos that can no longer be shown on YouTube. You'll have those. We're working to get the word out because we know Esau is in a time of censoring and looking to stomp out the truth so that he can bring forth this mark of the beast chip system. You can get with this or you can get with that. With that, I'm going to say shalom. Elder Lawyer, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Elder, thank you for being here. Welcome back. And we're going to keep our lessons within this parameter right here where we're not actually, folks, violating any YouTube rules. We're going to keep our structure right here, just bringing truth. We don't need videos. We don't need none of that. We just need this Bible. Not that we're not going to have that, but a lot of things, they censor it. They don't want you to put 2 and 2 together. But guess what? The Academy tomorrow? Watch this. With that, I'm going to say, stay prayed up, sin not, and we're going to end this with Jacob crying. Bless you. $ GOCC 144 donate. Shalom.
Shalom.
Bless Sabbath.
I hear Jacob crying. Why here I can hear him crying. When you gonna rise, call on the Lord. Mighty Jacob, rise, let's hear your roar. When you gonna rise, Jacob? Here you come back. Here you cries, Jacob. You born there. I feel Jacob rising. Can you see? I can see him rising.
Jacob Jaya. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'll see you all tomorrow in the Academy. Shalom. Shalom.
Mighty Jacob, rise to be restored. Troubles are brewing, Jacob. You need to stop what you're doing. Oh, Jacob. You know the promise is waiting. Oh, Jacob. You need to call on the Lord, so I can hear Jacob crying. I can hear you crying. I can hear crying. Jacob, dry your eyes and call on the Lord. Mighty Jacob, rise, and you will be restored. Troubles are brewing, no Jacob. Just stop what you're doing. Stop it, Jacob. Because the promise is waiting. No, Jacob. So call on the Lord, and He will hear your voice. Oh, Jacob, let us hear it. Oh no, let's hear that roar. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Ooh, Jacob, come and call on the Lord.